Hello and welcome back to the Paper Escape. This is our first ever virtual craft retreat. My name is Lynn and I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming you to day 2 of our 2025 holiday retreat. We started this 4-day crafty retreat with a live stream kickoff party. Yesterday's 3 classes were amazing, and today we're continuing the fun with another 4 free classes. Our instructors are teaching some amazing projects celebrating Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Tomorrow is our 4th and final day, an exciting bonus day of fun. This is for all paid ticket holders to enjoy a day of live crafting. You'll get to craft along with me and my co-host, Carrie Rhodes, during our live workshops. Plus, we'll have a fun live wrap-up party with some of our instructors. Bonus tickets are still available for just $20. This retreat is supported by 26 amazing companies and designers who have collectively donated over $10,000 in prizes, swag, and free offers, not to mention some of the incredible promotions and offers, some of which are exclusively available this weekend only. Don't miss out on these incredible offers. From Cards by Kendra, use code TPE2025 to get 50% off your official patron membership when you sign up for a full year. This is valid for new members only and is available between now and October 5th. From Dare to Be Artsy, use code CARDDAY15 and enjoy 15% off your order between now and October 7th. From Whimsy Stamps, use code 20LYN2025 for 20% off of your order between now through October 9th. From Your Paper Insider, use code PAPERESCAPE5 for $5 off your next order. This includes subscription box signups, which is exclusive to us between now and November 1st. From Meg Brighter, use code TPEMEG50 to enjoy 50% off any Coloring with Meg class, available now through November 1st. And finally, from me, use code TPELYN50 to enjoy 50% off any Easy Postage printable between now through November 1st. Give a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Whether you shop their stores or not, please find them on social media and give their posts a like and a comment to let them know you appreciate their sponsorship and support of the Paper Escape. So, here's what we've got planned for this amazing crafty weekend. Day 1, we have 3 classes taught by Walter, Stacy, and Irene. On day 2, we have another 4 classes taught by Kendra, Shalana, Julie, and Meg. If you were lucky enough to get a VIP swag bag ticket before it sold out, bring out those class kits. They were lovingly prepared by our amazing instructors. On each class kit, you'll find a QR code to shop with the instructor. If you didn't get the VIP bundle, don't worry. You can still support our instructors by visiting the Shop With Us link that we'll share in the live chat and the description box of this video. Our instructors have shared their links to the supplies they used and their affiliate links, or my link if they don't have one, to all of our sponsors. Please support our instructors by shopping their links. They might earn a small commission when you make a purchase, and that just helps to support them in all of their creative endeavors. The instructors will be in the live chat during the retreat, and everything is taught in real time, so you can craft along. If you have questions, do leave them in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay. Sometimes it's nice to just hang out and chat with our wonderful crafty community and then come back and craft on the replay. You can enjoy this retreat however you like, because the replay will be available for as long as YouTube is available, and you'll actually find it on the new Paper Escape YouTube channel, so do pop on over there and subscribe. Links to that channel will also be in the live chat as well as the description box below. Did I mention we have some incredible prizes we're giving out this weekend? We have so many prizes that we can give them out every single day of this 4-day retreat. We've saved some of the very best prizes for our bonus day. So if you don't already have a paid ticket, you can still get a bonus day ticket for $20. But be sure you grab that ticket before October 5th if you want a chance to be in the live drawing on bonus day. We know that not everybody can attend live though, so don't worry. Every single day, there's going to be some prizes that we give away in a live drawing, and then there's going to be some prizes we give away in a replay raffle. For live drawing prizes, you'll need to type hashtag the paper escape, all one word, into the live chat. You only need to do this the one time. Winners will be randomly chosen from the live chat comments that have that hashtag. For the replay raffle prizes, you'll need to visit the link that's shared in the live chat. Yes, you'll actually need to watch the replay to get the link. Fill out the form to enter the giveaway. All winners will be announced during a live stream on the Paper Escape YouTube channel after the retreat. The best way to get notified when that live stream goes live is to subscribe to the Paper Escape on YouTube and click on the notification bell so you get alerts when new videos and live streams are announced. You only need to enter the live drawing and the replay raffle once per day. Each day is a different set of drawings, so be sure to come back every single day to enter the live drawing and the replay raffle. We also have some really fun games that we've already been playing in the Paper Escape Facebook group. Join us there and share your makes and have some fun with us. We've had some really amazing ATC swaps, and we're playing a bit of Crafty Bingo as well. For folks who are playing along, you also have a chance to win some prizes. Some were donated by our sponsors, and some are Crafty D-Stash bundles from me and our instructors. Alrighty, friends. Get your crafty stash out and let's get ready to craft.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday crafting straight from the heart. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Come and craft the stress away. We've got live streams every day. Cut, fold, glue, and spill the tea. You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar. Chat with friends, old and new. Craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your makes. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine.
Hello there, this is Kendra Morgan, also known as Cards by Kendra. I'm so excited to share this spooktacular Boo Banner class for the Paper Escape Holiday Retreat. While this version is Halloween themed, you could easily swap out the letters to create a Christmas banner that spells out joy, or any other word you can dream up. You can even change the orientation, hanging it either vertically or horizontally to fit your space perfectly. Now, I'm a huge fan of cute Halloween decor, and this project is a blast to create. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I'll first show you the contents of the exclusive kit for my class. These were included in some of the VIP kits if you were one of the early bird purchasers that were lucky enough to get one of these bonus kits. First, you have 4 French flare die cuts that are cut from black heavyweight cardstock, and these measure 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And then there are 4 die cuts that are slightly smaller that are from various pattern papers that are Halloween colors, and these measure 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And there are also Halloween themed die cuts in here, and these will vary. But for this particular kit, there's a ghost, which is the main center part of the top piece of the banner. And for this one, it has a bat and a candy corn. There are 3 square letters that spell out boo, and then there are 3 2-inch circles, and these are for the back of the rosettes. And then there are also 3 starburst die cuts in those same patterns of the strips. And I have them folded in half so that they'd fit in the kit, but these will be scored to make the rosettes. Each of the strips measure 1.5 by 11 inches. You'll want to decide which pattern papers you'll want to use for each piece of the banner, and then pick a different pattern for the rosettes that will go on top. Now I'm using the pattern with the Halloween words for the top piece, and that's what I'm putting the die cuts on. There are also 4 strips of black sheer organza ribbon that will hold your banner together, and also some black and white twine to use to hang the banner. And then there are 3 black rhinestones for embellishments. Now, as a bonus, there's some extra die cuts plus some pattern paper. I don't have these shown here, but these will be used during a bonus live stream for paid ticket holders. Because there's extra die cuts, you can decide which 3 you like best to use on your banner. Now, in addition to the kit items, you'll also need some double-sided adhesive. I like to use tear tape, and you'll also need some liquid glue. You could also use hot glue and a glue gun, but I have burnt myself too many times and I prefer to just use liquid glue, especially on little details. You'll also need a hole punch. Now I'm using my Crop-A-Dile. It has 2 different size holes that you can punch out. Now if you happen to have one of these Crop-A-Diles, you could use some grommets in the holes along with this handy gadget to make them stronger. And that way you don't have to worry about the banner ripping as much. But it is not necessary. You'll also need some foam tape if you want to add some dimension to your die cuts. And you'll also need a scoring board and tool. Now this here is a larger one, but I'm going to show you how to use a smaller board if you don't have one that fits 12 by 12 paper. Plus you'll also need some black ink for the edges of the pattern paper die cuts, but this is optional. Now these pattern paper strips again are measured at 1.5 by 11 inches, and you will need 2 of the same pattern for each rosette if you're not using this kit. So a total of 6 strips. Once you've decided which patterns you want to use where, you can add black ink along the edges of the pattern paper to cover up the white edges. You could really use whatever ink works best, whatever color you'd like that fits your theme, and you'll just ink the edges of each of the pieces, and then you'll want to make sure that you allow the ink to dry. Since a lot of the steps in this process are repetitive, I am going to be speeding up parts of this video. Now I'm going to scoot these up a little bit, and while they dry, the next step is to score the pattern paper strips. Now if you're not using this kit and you're using paper from your own stash, check the thickness of the paper. If it's pretty thick, you may want to use a larger scoreboard and do these one at a time. I'm going to show you how to use a smaller scoring board for this step. And since the papers in this kit are fairly thin, I'm going to keep these folded in half and score both strips at the same time. And I'm placing the folded edge in the corner of the scoring board to begin scoring. And you'll want to score these at every 1/2 inch all the way across till you reach the end. Now I'm going over each score mark twice. If you find that the score lines aren't showing through on the other side, then you'll want to do one piece at a time rather than both like I'm doing here. Once you have both strips scored at every 1/2 inch, you'll want to start folding along the score lines, beginning with a mountain fold so that the design of the pattern paper is facing out and the white part is on the inside. And then you'll continue with a valley fold, followed by a mountain fold, and then valley, and so on until you reach the other edge. Then you'll want to pinch it together to make sure that all of your folds are even at every 1/2 inch. And you can pull it apart slightly and you'll see that it looks like a fan. Next, you'll want to attach some double-sided tape to each end. So now that I have the double-sided tape on both ends of this piece, I'm going to start by folding my second strip. So again, you'll just fold starting with a mountain fold, then valley, or over, under, over, under. But once the two strips are both folded, then you're going to attach the other strip, the one that has the double-sided tape, to the end of the same pattern on one end. So you'll remove the adhesive backing, and to give yourself some wiggle room and to help you line up the pieces, you can add some liquid glue on top of that double-sided tape. Just make sure that the ends are lined up. I like to have this liquid glue on here so I can scoot things where I need it. And then you'll want to allow the liquid glue to dry. So you'll pinch it together, and then once it's dry, you'll remove the adhesive backing from the other end. And again, add some liquid glue. And then you're going to bring it around to kind of make a circle so that you can attach it to the other edge to create the rosette. I'm making sure I have plenty of liquid glue so that I can scoot it. So now that I have these attached, I'm going to just kind of pinch it there until that liquid glue has time to dry. Now I started folding the outer edges inward to create the rosette, and I realized that I didn't hold it together long enough. So just make sure that you let it dry before you try to do this part. Now to hold the rosette together, you will next add glue to one of the black 2-inch circle heavyweight pieces that were cut and included in the kit. And you'll add glue to the top of that and place the rosette in the center. And while you are placing it, you'll want to make sure that you're pinching the rosette together so that the inner folds touch each other, leaving no space, meaning there's not a hole in the middle there. Because you really want your rosette to be evenly spaced out. Basically, the mountain folds need to be the same distance apart all the way around. And as you can see, I am adding plenty of glue because I want this to stay. And you want to make sure that you let it dry before doing anything else. So I discovered that it is easier to actually flip the rosette over and add the black part to the top, or rather the bottom. Okay, so I need this to dry. So I have did not think about this as I was putting this video together, that I needed something to kind of hold it in place for me while it dried. So luckily I had my air hockey table pusher right there in front of me. This is what I used to apply pressure to my stamping platform when I stamp things, but it just so happens to be the perfect size for holding this rosette in place. But while that dries, I'm going to repeat these steps with the next set of strips in a different pattern. And again, I'm scoring these at the same 1/2 inch all the way across. And then I'm folding them, starting with a mountain fold. Same steps as before. Now you may have noticed that I didn't score these twice, so it made it a little bit harder to see where my score lines were. So I definitely recommend doing it twice. And you're going to see me switching back and forth with the steps so that I can continue working while things dry. Now I'm switching back to the rosette. It should be dry now. So the next step is to adhere the starburst die cut of the same pattern paper of the strips, and you'll add this to the top. Make sure you add enough adhesive so that it will stay. I decided to use both the double-sided tear tape and liquid glue. Again, you want to allow this to dry. And next I'll be switching back to folding my second strip from the second set of paper strips. And as I mentioned earlier, you can use hot glue if you prefer. That's what my mom used when she made this banner. But using the liquid glue, that's just how I like to do it. I tend to get strings of glue everywhere when I use a glue gun. But as you can see, I'm continuing these same steps so that I can create 3 rosettes. So as I do this, I want to tell you a little bit about my card challenges if you're not already familiar with what I do. I create a PDF printable that shows how to take 6 sheets of 6" by 6" pattern paper, and you can cut them efficiently where you have little to no scraps, and use all of the cut pieces to create 15 or more A2 sized cards. It's like a one sheet wonder times 6. Now these printables are created every 3 months, so it is a quarterly challenge that is open to card makers worldwide. And during the quarter, the PDF can be downloaded for free on my Patreon page when you sign up as a free member. Once you have it downloaded, you can follow the instructions on the cutting guides and the card sketches to create your set of cards, and then enter them into a monthly InLinks party for a chance to win some prizes. We have different prize sponsors who generously donate different prizes ranging from prize packs to physical goods and gift certificates. We have over $1,000 worth of prizes each quarter, and prizes are awarded monthly. So you can enter up to 3 times per quarter with a different set of cards. I do have a Facebook group that you can join. It's called Kendra's Card Challenges, and this is where you can find lots of card making inspiration and even upload photos of your cards to the monthly showcase albums to be featured in my monthly prize winners announcement videos. It is a wonderful community of crafters. Now, as I mentioned before, the PDF is free to download on my Patreon site during the quarter as a free member. But I also offer additional Patreon memberships that have benefits and perks, and I'll tell you a little bit more about these. For just $2 a month, you can become a KCC supporter, gaining access to patron-only updates and early access to D-Stash sales. And then at the $5 tier, as an official patron, you get everything already mentioned, plus a printer-friendly version of the current challenge, access to a year's worth of past challenges, and monthly bonus printables, like digital card making kits, one-sheet wonders, fun fold tutorials, and more. And the next tier is the $10 tier, and it's all access, and this includes everything already mentioned, plus early access to new challenges, 2 years of past challenges and bonus printables, and a monthly card making kit sampler. And for the ultimate crafting experience, the $25 VIP patron tier offers everything from all access except the sampler kit. Instead, you'll receive a full card making kit each month with enough supplies to make 15 card fronts or more. And this can include stamps, dies, or ephemera, pattern paper, cardstock, and embellishments. Plus, you get access to all past challenges, all past bonus printables, a handmade card from me, and a quarterly live stream session. That is a lot of content. VIP and all access patrons also get access to an exclusive Facebook group with extra prize drawings. You really do get a lot of benefits as a paid patron, and the value is well over the monthly membership price. And for this weekend only, you can get 50% off your first year of official patron access with the purchase of an annual membership using the discount code shown on the screen. This is exclusively for ticket holders of the Paper Escape and must be redeemed by October 5th by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. This discount code is only valid for new members who sign up or patrons at the free membership tier. So back to the banner now. I'm gluing the French flare die cuts to the bigger pieces, making sure to add liquid glue all along the edges. And I have one more rosette that I need to add the starburst piece to. I decided to skip the double-sided tape on this one and just use the liquid glue, and it sticks just fine, so you really don't have to use both if you don't want to. Now I'm bringing in the letters, and these will get glued on top of the starburst pieces on the rosettes. I wanted to audition each of the different colored rosettes on the banner pieces to see which combinations I like best. And I couldn't remember which ones I had decided on in the beginning, but it really doesn't matter. Now, if you don't have this kit, you'll want to cut out the letters using some alphabet dies, or if you don't have any alphabet dies, you could even print out the letters onto some cardstock and cut them out using a paper trimmer. These measure about 1.5 inches and they're square. And you can use just plain circles if you don't have a starburst punch for the top of the rosettes. Now for this checkered pattern, I'm using the lines of the checks to line this up. Makes it a little bit easier. Now before you glue the rosettes to the banner pieces, you'll want to use your hole punch to cut out the holes for the ribbon. It just makes it easier to do the holes first. If you glue the rosettes on first, it'll be harder to cut the holes. Now for the top piece, you want to make sure that your words are facing the right direction. And you want to make sure that you're not too close to the edge of your die cut so that it doesn't tear. The last banner piece will only need one hole punched at the top, and the other 3 pieces will need a hole punched out of the top and the bottom. But if you ever want to make a horizontal banner, you will need 2 holes punched on each piece. And you'll also need an extra piece of ribbon and an extra piece of twine. Now I'm lining up my Crop-A-Dile to punch the hole out right on the edge of the point of the pattern paper pieces. So that's kind of a good way to line up where you need to punch your hole. And I think that this should be far enough away from the edge where you don't have to worry about it ripping or coming apart. So now that all of the holes are punched out, you can glue on the rosettes, attaching them by adding glue to the back of the black circles on the bottom. And then next you'll take the top piece and adhere the ghost die cut to the center using some foam tape. Now you don't have to use foam tape if you don't have it or if you don't want to use it, but I like adding the extra dimension, especially since you have the dimension with the rosettes on the other banner pieces. Now for the other 2 die cuts, you'll want to make sure that you place them on opposite corners. I like to put them one on the top right and one on the bottom left, but it's really just your preference. But you want to make sure that you do not cover up the holes that were punched out. So when you're attaching those 2 pieces, you'll only want to add glue to the parts of the die cuts that will be touching the banner piece. You will have part of the die cut hanging off of the edge, which is totally okay. And then you'll want to take the rhinestones and just place them around the die cuts to add a little sparkle. Really, you could use them anywhere you'd like. I tried putting it on the letters, but I think that they look the best on that top banner piece. Next, you'll want to take the baker's twine and run it through the top hole, and then tie a double knot so that you have a loop for hanging the banner. And then you can use some scissors to trim off the ends if you need to, if the pieces are too long. And then you'll take one of the 4 pieces of ribbon and you'll run it through the same hole as the twine, and you will tie a bow. Now this is not something that I'm very good at, so it took me a little bit to get it even. But I'm going to wait to trim off the ends. I want to connect the banner pieces and make the other bows first so that I can try to make them all the same size. To connect the remaining banner pieces, you'll run the ribbon through both punched holes, the top of one piece to the bottom of the other piece, and then you'll bring them together, leaving a little bit of space between the banner pieces. Then you'll tie a knot, and then you'll tie a bow. You'll repeat this process until all 4 pieces of the banner are connected. And then, like I mentioned before, you'll trim off the ends to try to make the bows look to be about the same size. So once you have all of the pieces of the banner connected, it is complete. You can hang your Spooktacular Boo banner wherever you'd like and bring some cuteness to any space. I really hope you've enjoyed this class. I had a lot of fun making this banner, and I hope you have a lot of fun making it as well. I plan to make some additional banners and other themes. A big thank you to Lynn and Carrie for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the first ever Paper Escape Holiday Retreat. There are so many amazing projects that you'll learn how to make in these classes, and some really awesome prizes and swag. I hope you'll follow all of the instructors that are sharing their talents for this awesome retreat, and I really hope you'll join me for my quarterly card challenges that I mentioned earlier. You can visit kendrascardchallenges.com for all of the details. I'd also like to thank the amazing sponsors that made this retreat possible: Pear Blossom Press, Glassboard Studio, Trinity Stamps, Your Paper Insider, Whimsy Stamps, Bits and Pieces, Paper Lab, LV Handcrafted, Belle Rose, Scrap Diva Designs, Meg Breeder, Paper Rose, Irene Smith, Pink and Maine, Crafty Critta, Inky Stamper, Love from Lizzie, Dare to be Artsy, Brutus Monroe, Ledoux Designs, Dream in Color, High Supply, Stamps of Life, 12x12 Cardstock Shop, A Colorful Life Designs, Barely Arts Glue, and Not Too Shabby Shop. Wow, that is a lot of sponsors and lots of things that you can win during this retreat. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy crafting!
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine, tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday crafting straight from the heart. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Come and craft the stress away. We've got live streams every day. Cut, fold, glue, and spill the tea. You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar. Chat with friends, old and new. Craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way.
Hey there, happy friends.
Ink it, blend it,
Welcome to the
share
Paper
your
Escape. I am Shalana, and today we're going to assemble a shaker gift box by Scrap Diva Designs. This kit was curated with tons of goodies, however you do need a few items to bring this to light. Grab your glue, 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive, your bone folder, gold thread or gem for the center of the bow, shipping tape, scissors, tweezers, and a pick tool, and a gift of your choice. Let's walk through what I used in the kit contents. I used the Christmas shaker plates to create my own mix, as I failed to purchase one from Diary of the Belle Rose for my own use. I did use the shaker gift box die set. It has a total of 16 metal die pieces. This die set makes it so easy to create something magical. From the bows to the fonts, this is a die to have in your crafty arsenal. Now let's see what's in your kit. While all the pattern paper or colored cardstock pieces are not the same, your kits are identical with regard to what you received, and I can't wait to see your creations. Your shaker mix is by the Diary of Belle Rose. Again, I created my own just because I failed to purchase one, but it was so much fun. You have a gold clothespin and a piece of twine. You have a snowflake die cut, which is going to be for the inside of your shaker box. And then this little special bonus item you'll want to hold on to for a fun game we will play during the wrap-up party on bonus day. There are 2 pieces that is going to help you construct your bow. And I'm calling this the rooftop piece, as it is what we're going to use to close up the actual shaker box. You have a piece of acetate with the masking tape on top, so it's very visible. And then your shaker box in the frame that is going to go on the outside of the shaker gift box. You have these 2 pieces that are going to fit inside the window. You will want to keep those, and I'll show you what we'll do with those later. And we have our sentiment that says treats, and then you have that shadow that treats is going to go on top of. And there's 2 panels as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I tried to do all of the little tasks first to be ready for the construction of the box. So grab your treat sentiment with your tweezers and place liquid glue on the back. I'm using Bearly Arts glue, which is a fan favorite of mine. They are also a sponsor for the Paper Escape. How cool is that? You can also use sticky adhesive sheets if you have that. Just different ways you can accomplish adding your sentiment to the shadow. So tell me, what adhesive do you have in your crafty arsenal? And tell me all of them, not just one, because I know we use different adhesive mediums as we craft. So up next, you're going to grab your rooftop closure piece. Again, that's what I'm calling it. You can see it has a score line. We're going to fold it in half, making sure the 2 holes are lined up with one another. Crease it with your bone folder, or you can use your fingernails, whatever is going to work best for you. Okay, so now we are going to start putting together our bow. Grab the 2 pieces that we're going to use and take the longer piece and bend the edges using your bone folder. Now you're going to want to take your liquid adhesive and place it on the end and go ahead and fold that piece inward to the center to create the look of the bow. You're going to want to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm using my tweezers to hold that piece in place. But ultimately, we're going to do the same exact thing. And here you have it, a cute little bow. So I'm adding a little pressure in the center just to make sure that the glue adheres to both ends. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and put this on the base. So I'm just taking a look at it to see where it's going to line up. I'm using my adhesive and I'm going across the base, not all the way to the outer edge, but really just focusing on the centerpiece. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my bow right to the center. And again, you can see me aligning and adding a little bit of pressure. So I did try to make sure I had about the same amount of space on both sides when it came to the actual edges of the bow showing. And I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and start working on my shaker box. So go ahead and take your shaker box. This is going to hold your shaker mix. You're going to fold the first score line inward on itself on all 4 sides. And you can see me again using my fingernails just to give it a nice crease. Grab your snowflake and you can decide where you're going to place this inside the box. I'm using a liquid adhesive again on the back of the snowflake, but you can have some fun and put whatever you want inside this box. It's amazing all the variations that you can create. So let's say you wanted a different item in there. You can put that in there. You can add some stickers. You can do some ephemera, whatever your heart's desire. I did see a really cute one that had a gingerbread man inside. So depending on the theme, you can place whatever it is that you want to put inside the box to show up, as well as if you want to just shaker content, you can do that too. But I do think that the snowflake added some va-va-voom. And if you want to be a little bit extra jazzy, whatever it is that you put in there, you can pop it up with 3D foam tape. So next up, we're going to grab our double-sided tape and place it all on all 4 edges of the box. When we're done with this is how we're going to be able to adhere it to the shaker window when the time comes. So I thought this was pretty fun because we're doing a holiday theme, Christmas. Here I live in Pennsylvania, so it's cold, so snowflakes went really well. But again, you could put whatever you like to put in there. So tell me in the chat, what is your favorite holiday? So as I thought about this question, I was a little bit torn because I love Christmas. I like to see my granddaughter excited to see what Santa left. But I also love Thanksgiving, the family vibe. And Halloween is always fun because I like to trick or treat with my granddaughter as well. So I realized that I don't really have a favorite holiday. I sort of kind of like them all. All right. So as I got that done, you can see I am folded in. There's 2 little flaps on each side on the shorter ends. So as I'm creasing all 4 sides, I do want to point out those 2 little flaps on the short ends. And you can see I am just pushing them forward. And then we're going to have to put some adhesive on them as well. So I did turn that shaker box over, and you can see that I'm adding adhesive to those very small flaps. Now you might be asking, why am I using adhesive? Took me a little more time, but ultimately I wanted to make sure I had a very strong hold. So that's why I chose to use that. But you can absolutely use glue, or if you had some very small glue dots, you can do that as well. So I'm using my pick tool to take off all of the adhesive backing. I just made it much easier, and then I'm folding those flaps and adhering them to the inside long piece of the box. And I'm going around and I'm doing this for all 4 flaps. You can see once I have that in place, you have now constructed the box. So you can see it definitely showing and taking shape. And then I decided to just reinforce all 4 sides with my fingernail to ensure that it was solid. All right, so let's go ahead, put that aside and finish up my bow. Now here you have options. This is where you're going to need to go in your stash. You can use some gold thread, you can use a piece of sequins, a gem, or you might have like a little clay object that you can put in the center of your bow. If you look at what I did, I used my tape runner on the back of the bow, and I had a little bit of gold thread left. So I just adhered my gold thread to the back where I had that adhesive, and I'm just literally winding around the center of the bow multiple times until I have as much thread as I want to have on it. And then from there, you cut it with my scissors, and there you have it. Now I have my bow ready to go. But again, you can get very creative in your stash depending on what you have in there. And you might have a little dangly piece that you could put in the center. Whatever that it is, create your own. So next we have our 2 panel pieces. We want to make sure that the flap with the 2 holes are at the top. So go ahead and take one of your panel pieces. And remember earlier I told you we had the 2 window pieces. Grab them and find out which one fits in like a puzzle piece. And then once you do that, go ahead and start to fold on all of your score lines. So the reason why we want to make sure that we're doing this is when you add that piece back into that window, you want to make sure that when you're adding the tape that you're not going over the score lines, which would make it a little bit more difficult to fold. So that's the reason why we're going ahead and making sure that we score on all the score lines first. So hopefully as you're watching me score this, you're seeing where the scores are. One of the things you can do is, depending on your pattern paper, you might see it very easily. However, if it's busy, you may not see the score lines as pronounced. So you can run your finger across the paper and you can see it, or you could just follow along with my instructions. Whatever works best for you. But it is pretty cool that when you cut this out, it automatically has the score lines in it, so you don't have to worry about that piece. Now, I found the best way to do this is with a piece of mailing tape. Now, the very first one, I've done several of these that I did. I used washi tape. And maybe it's just that I didn't have washi tape that was super duper powerful. It just continued to fly up and not keep the paper secure. So I looked at my stash to see what I had, and I had some mailing tape, and I found that this worked wonders just because it's nice and wide, and I pretty much was able to get the whole piece that I needed. Now, when I took a look at this, I did notice that I had a section that I did not get the mailing tape on. So I just cut me off another piece and added it right to that left-hand side. And that made sure everything was nice and secure. Now go ahead and grab your second panel, and you're going to do the same thing and begin scoring on all the lines. This will be important when we construct the actual shaker window. All right, so next up, turn that piece over that still has that cutout, because this is where we're going to actually add our acetate in our shaker. So go ahead and put some glue around the edges. Be mindful you don't want your glue to seep out onto the acetate when you add it. So don't go right around the edges. I would move it in just a little bit. Go ahead and grab your acetate sheet, which there is a die cut that cuts this out to be the perfect size for this window. And remove that mint masking tape and go ahead and place this right over the window. And I did apply some pressure on all 4 sides because I wanted to make sure that that acetate was nicely secured to the paper. If you have an acrylic block, you can also just place it on there for a few minutes as well. And that'll make sure that it adheres the way that you want it to that pattern paper with no open holes. That's important because we want to make sure that our shaker content stays inside that window. All right, now go ahead and turn that panel over and grab your frame, and you're going to add adhesive to the back of your frame and line it up over the window and adhere it to the pattern paper. Very similar to how you adhere your acetate window. I wanted to be super duper mindful of how much glue that I put it on the frame because I did not want it to seep out. So I did a light hand, light pressure, and then I went ahead and set this right around the edge of the acetate window, adding a little bit of pressure to make sure that it adhered and it was lined up well. Next up, you want to grab your sentiment, add adhesive to the back. In this case, I use glue, but you can also use 3D foam tape and pop it up if you'd wish. And I'm just laying this right closer to the bottom of the window. Now, it is important that the score line that you have just to the right of that is placed backwards under the box so that you don't accidentally adhere the sentiment to that piece that needs to fold. So that's important when you think about your actual placement. Next up, grab your double-sided adhesive, and there's 2 flaps. So you can see there's one longer flap. So I'm adding that adhesive to the longer flap. I'm snipping it with my scissors, and then you're going to see there's a short flap at the top. So we're going to use these 2 sections to actually attach the panels to create the box. You're going to want to do the same thing on the other panel as well. And then once you have that completed, we are going to be ready to assemble the shaker. Now, when I created my very first one, I was like, this is where all the magic happens. We all love a good shaker. Well, I know I do anyway. I love shaker boxes, shaker cards, anything that shakes and has that interactive element. I find to be super duper fun and engaging, or I would say, I guess, satisfying, as my daughter would say. She says that there's a lot of things that are satisfying. This would be one of them to me. All right, so go ahead and grab your shaker box. And I grabbed my pick tool as well because I needed to remove the adhesive back off of each side of the shaker box. I don't know about you, but my pick tool is a must-have in my crafty arsenal. It just makes it so much easier when you're going through a process like this because you can remove that backing fairly quickly with the point of that picker tool, opposed to fingernails if you don't have fingernails. Now you want to take your shaker mix, again sponsored by the Diary of Belle Rose, and pour it into your box. You should have more than enough to use. You don't need to use it all in the box. I guess it really depends on how much you want to put in there. All right, go ahead and turn over your flap. Line it up over the box where you have your window, and then just apply a little bit of pressure across that panel. And that is adhering the front of your panel to the shaker box itself. And now I'm taking my bone folder and I am reinforcing all 4 sides just to make sure that everything is secure and there is no way that those shaker bits are going to fall out. Look at that. It's amazing. All right, so let's go ahead and get this box completed. Again, make sure that your flap with the 2 holes are at the top. That is critical when you're putting this together. Take off your adhesive back on the one side, and you can see how we're just lining that up. Long side to long side, short flap to short flap. Now I found the easier way to do it, because remember it's up in the air a little bit just from that shaker box, is just to start at the bottom, and then you can adhere a piece of it, pick it up, and then adhere the rest of it. And then I did the same thing with the flap. Once I knew I had that long portion adhered, then I moved on to the flap. You just want to apply some pressure. Here I did it with my finger. You can use your bone folder. And again, I'm just trying to make sure that it's all safe and secure as we're putting this together. And now you can sort of have a visual of what it's going to look like as we secure these last 2 flaps. So we're pretty much doing the same exact thing we did before when it comes to securing the box. All right, so in the chat, tell me, what is your favorite crafty tool? What do you use all the time that you can't get enough of? And it's a go-to for you as you craft. I want to learn what that is. For me, I think for me it's probably the Misty. Ever since the Misty came out, I sort of wonder how I lived without it before. All right, so next up we're going to go ahead and put the bottom of the shaker box together. I'm adding some adhesive. You can see I had the 2 smaller flaps folded inward, and this adhesive is just grabbing right onto those smaller pieces. And you can see I'm holding there with my left hand as I put some glue onto this remaining panel. And I put glue all over it, not just on the edges, but if you wanted to, you could do just the edge. Now, once I had that done, I wanted to make sure that all was well inside. So I just went in with my bone folder to add some pressure to make sure it was secure. And of course, this will probably sit for a minute once you're finished. So it'll be ready to go. And you'll just make sure that all is well down there. Next up, we're going to go ahead and add our bow. So I'm using adhesive and I'm adding it to the entire bow, and I am placing this right above the score line, which is a fold that is right above the acetate window. And sorry, I sort of kind of got off out the frame for a minute, but you can see where I placed that. And then I'm just adding a little bit of pressure to each side just to make sure that that bow is secure. Now, if you wanted to, you could take a pencil, something a little bit rounded, and go in and make sure that your bow is a little bit more pronounced. You can see I just sort of folded it. Well, not folded it, secured it right on top so you don't see the bow as much as there was. And then I put a little goodie inside. So I put a little healthy treat. You can put anything that you like in there. It could be a gift card. It could be some nice fuzzy socks, considering it's the holiday times. You can make this even like a little birthday shaker. I might have to try that next. Little birthday shaker box. All right, so next up, you're going to take that rooftop closure. That's what I'm calling that little piece. And you're going to pull your two pieces, the two flaps together, and secure that with your gold clothespin. So if you wanted to close it up with glue, you could, but here, I just decided to leave it open. Once you take that clothespin off, you can reuse it again or put something else in it. And then I just place my twine right through there, through the front, and I am tying a little bow. And there you have a cute little shaker box that you have assembled. So what are some ideas for different gifts that you're going to put in this box? Because now you technically have a holiday themed shaker gift box that you can give to someone. So go ahead and put in the chat, what are some ideas that you're going to use to put in here? So you can see on that one side I showed you where I could actually put I could have taped that a little bit better. Let's just call that out. So here's a few examples that I've made. One is Halloween themed. I add some googly eyes to the bow. I had some shaker bits and pieces from another die I had by Scrap Diva Designs that was Halloween themed. Super duper cute. I did close up that back again. You can always leave that open if you wanted to. And I just love this one. I love the colors of it. Not traditional colors for Halloween per se. I really love that one. And then I also made one that was Thanksgiving themed. Had some pumpkins, some fall going on. I added a sticker inside. And it came out super duper cute. So here's a whole bunch of different examples for you of some things you could do. So what do you guys think? And here's your bonus piece. Please don't forget about this for the last day, for that bonus day. So I hope you enjoyed today's project. You can find me on Instagram at sclass1908 and YouTube sclass1908 too. Thank you to all the sponsors and to you, the attendees.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday.
Giveaway time, friends. For a chance to win one of these amazing prizes, just enter into the giveaway raffle. The link will be in the live chat. This is available for Replay Crew, but there is a deadline, so be sure to enter before the deadline for your chance to win. Winners will be announced on the Paper Escape YouTube channel.
Glue and spill the tea. You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar. Chat with friends, old and new. Craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your mates. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and
Hey friends, this is Julie Tillman. Welcome to my Book of Treats class for the Paper Escape Holiday Retreat. I am super excited to teach this fun book of treats to you. I love gifting things, and I love hostess gifts and just little treats. And I think it's always so nice to give a handmade gift. So I created this little box. It has a fun front cover with autumn papers, and we have a spine and a back, so it looks like a book. There's a little ribbon closure, And then when you open it up, there's a little pocket here that you can tuck a tag in, a gift card, a little note, whatever you want. I have one, we have a tag that we'll be making in the class. And then I have some Hershey Nuggets. And this is like a little candy backer, and I tucked a gift card behind it. And this is just a little pouch that you could stick all sorts of little treasures. That I'll give you some ideas as we go through for different kinds of candy and different kinds of things you can fill your box with. So that is what we will be making. So let's get into what we need. We'll start with this class supplies, and then I'll move on to what is in the class kit. So you're going to need something to score with. I'm going to be using a Score Buddy. You can also use just a ruler and a stylus if that's what you have. It doesn't have to be fancy. We will also need some sort of adhesive. I'm using liquid glue by Bearly Art. They are one of our retreat sponsors. So thank you so much for sponsoring us, Bearly Art. And I will also be pulling in some double-sided adhesive tape. I'm just a little extra and like things to be really stuck down, so sometimes I use both. We'll also need some scissors to cut our, make some cuts on our pouch, as well as cut the ribbon. Optionally, you may want some word or sentiment stamps and or word dies. There is a word die that comes in the kit if you want to use that. I will be using this a little treat for someone sweet from Not Too Shabby, and this is the Peach Perfect set, so I'll be using that on the tag. And I will be using this Grateful stamp on this fall stamp set from Scrap Diva Designs, and the coordinating die set for the front of my book. So this stamp here and this stamp here, and both Scrap Diva Designs and Not Too Shabby are also our sponsors. So we are so thankful for all the sponsors that hopped on board for this event. Also optionally, you may want a circle punch to do like a thumb notch in your pouch or your pocket. So I use a 7/8 inch circle punch. You could use a die. If you do a die, you just need to make sure you do it before you glue anything down. I will be using some antique linen distress ink and a little mini blender. That is completely optional. I'm just gonna do a little antiquing to just the edges of some of the white cardstocks that are in the kit. And then I will be using VersaFine Clara Black as the ink. So you might also want a block or a stamping positioner if you are stamping along. Also, you'll want a gift card or something to tuck in. It could be a little note card. It could be anything you want. Gift cards are about 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I think, yes, they are. So something about that size is what's going to fit in your pockets and pouches. You may want some Hershey Nuggets. These are the ones that I use. You can also, so that's what we'll be wrapping today in the class. That's what the kit is cut for, but I will give you options and measurements for some other candies that you might want to use instead. All right, let's get into what is included in the class kits that came with the VIP tickets. So I'm gonna go through this and give you some measurements so that hopefully if you're following along on screen and don't have a kit, you will be able to jot these down and get your measurements that way. So we start out with 3 cardstock pieces. This is a 4 by 6 1/4 inch piece of cardstock, and it is going to be our cover. So we're going to score it and then fold over, and it will be the cover for our book. Then we have a 4 1/2 by 3 inch piece of cardstock that is our pouch, and we will score this into a pouch and use one of the three, we have 2.5 by 3.75 inch pattern paper pieces. Yours might be all the same, they might be different. One of these will be your cover, one will be your back, and the other will be the back of your pouch. So next we have a 2.5 by 3.5 inch piece of cardstock. This is going to be the candy backer that you're going to put your Hershey's Kisses or Hershey's Nuggets on. And this is also the exact dimensions of an artist trading card, also known as ATCs. We are having a swap in our Facebook group for the event, so this might be a fun little way to commemorate the event and maybe store your little swaps in there if you are swapping. Next up, we will have 0.5 by 3.75 inch, 2 strips of this. So it's a 1/2 inch by 3.75 inch, same height as the other cards. So those are going to be the spine for the front and inside of the book. And you will have a 2.5 by 5 3/4 inch piece of pattern paper, and this is where you're going to fold up to make a pocket. So if you have a directional print, you'll want to make sure when we're scoring which direction you need that. There is also a 1.75 inch by 2.25 inch piece that will be the front of our pouch. And then we have 4 of these beautiful wrappers for our candy. These are 1 inch by 3.5 inches, but there's kind of a funny story because when I did the measurements for my kits, I was using old Hershey's Nuggets that I've had in my stash for like 4 or 5 years. I just keep it in my craft room because I know I won't eat it because it's old. And so when I went to buy new candy and went to make a sample after the fact, I realized that I think the Hershey Nuggets have shrunk over the years. So now it's about 1 inch by 3.25 inches. So you might need to, just double check yours and see if it need a little cut off for that. There is a word die. This is a thanks word die cut in gold in case you don't want to do any stamping today or hadn't planned on it. And there are some circle die cuts, just a pattern paper, a gold foil, and a scallop circle for the front cover. And then we have a little baggie that has some of the smaller bits that I didn't want to get lost, so I put them in a little Ziploc. So this is going to be the tag we create, and we have a cardstock backer and the pattern paper tag, as well as a topper. And there are 2, let's see if I can get all the stuff out of the bag. There are 2 hole reinforcers, and these already have double-sided tape on them, so you can just remove the backings and stick those down. And then I included some sparkly enamel dots from Not Too Shabby, and a sticky dot that you can add to the back of your gift card if you want to give a gift card, and then some dimensional foam dots to pop up your focal image. And then we have some seam binding ribbon. This is about 20 inches in length, and we will cut it in half, so we have about two different pieces that are approximately 10 inches. The dimensions don't really matter, except you just need enough room to tie your bow for your ribbon closure. And then there is a little cording. This is, I don't know, I think it was about 14 inches. I want to say something like that. It's more than enough to tie a little bow at the top of your tag. And then I also included just a scrap of white cardstock that you can stamp on for a sentiment if you want to. There is also a bonus item that all the instructors included, and there will be a fun game we'll be playing on the bonus wrap-up live. So we're gonna use those items then, so you might want to think about that. So these cards that I designed are just in a pumpkin theme with some blessing type of sentiments. They are 2 1/4 by 3 1/4 inches, and they fit beautifully on an ATC sized backer. There's also some cute little embellishments in the bonus kit, and I threw in a ticket stub. I'm a little bit obsessed with ticket stubs, so I buy them every time I see them. So I decided to share a little bit. That's what my bonus item is. Really quick, I wanted to show you what I did just playing with my bonus items. I made the same box, only the only difference was that I made it 3 3/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches. So just took a little bit off the top, but all the other measurements are the same. And then I just used these for the front, and I did the inside without a pocket. I made a little note card for this, and that is 2 1/2 by 7 inches and folded in half so that you make a note card. And then I just tucked a little Twixes, some snack size Twixes there, and put some pattern paper on the back and some little rhinestones. And that is one idea for the bonus kit. So let's get right into making our fabulous book of treats. All right, so the 3 pieces we will need to score on is our 4 by 6 1/4 inch piece of cardstock for the base, and our 4 1/2 by 3 inch piece of cardstock for the pouch, and then that 2 1/2 by 5.75 inch pattern paper for the pocket. So we will start with the 6 1/4 inch long one, the base, and we're gonna score it on the long side. And those scores are at 2 3/4 and 3 1/2. So 2 3/4 and 3 1/2. And you could also just twist it around and do both at 2 3/4 if that's easier to remember just one measurement. And so I'm just going to fold those inward and burnish just so we have some crisp fold lines to start with. So that is going to be our base. Next, we're going to move on to our pouch, which is the 3 by 4 1/2 inch. And we are going to put it on the 4 1/2 inch side, so the longest side. And we will score 0.5 and 1 inch from each side. So I'll give you the measurements. It's 1/2, 1 inch, 3 1/2, and 4 inches. And then we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So 1/2 inch and 1 inch on 3 sides, and leave the top for the top. So that's 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and then 3 1/2 inches and 4 inches. And then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So that is our base. We are going to burnish these folds. Everything goes inward, so just crisping up those folds. And then we are going to move on to our pocket piece. So we've got that scoring done. Okay, so now we're going to score our a 2.5 by 5.75 inch piece, and I'm bringing in this one just to show you because this has a directional paper. So if I wanted these teddy bears to be up, then this would be the top of my, this is where I want my shorter end. And so I'm going to put that up against the edge. So my teddy bears are facing this direction, and I would score at 2 inches. So that's 2 inches. So my pattern paper, I just brought that one in because mine didn't have really a directional pattern, so it doesn't really matter, but I did do it at the 2-inch mark here. And then you just need to decide which pattern you want facing up. I like the lighter pattern. That's just my personal preference. So, and then we're just going to fold that upward. We are going to create the pocket by adhering a small thin line. This is where liquid glue really works well, but if you have a very thin double-sided tape, that would work as well. But your liquid glue is going to give you permanence, because it will definitely adhere that paper together. Paper on paper, it will stay permanent, and sometimes double-sided adhesive doesn't stick as well in the long term. So I just put a thin line of glue. You don't want a big thick line of glue on those sides because this is your pocket, so you want things to be you want to be able to tuck something in there without the pocket coming up. So if at any time you wanted to distress the edges of your pattern paper, you are more than welcome to do that. And you can round corners as you desire. You could use a circle punch, which would probably be easier before I did this, but you could also optionally, if you have a small circle punch, just go in and add, well, I'll show it on the other one because I didn't do it here. But if you want to optionally do this, you would just add that thumb notch right there, and it would give you this look here. And there I did do some blending around the edges with some ink for a distressed look with these papers. So it's optional, however you like it. If you like it like this, that's just fine. I'm going to go with this. Then we are going to move on to creating the pouch. So that is our 4.5 inch by 3 inch piece that we have folded a 1/2 inch and then 1 inch on 3 sides. So we are going to take a pair of scissors and we are going to cut on, if you're looking at this, this is going to be the top, the edge that doesn't have the scoring. So this is going to be our bottom with the horizontal. So so we have 1 vertical line and 2 vertical lines, and 1 horizontal line and 2 horizontals. We are going to cut here at the first horizontal line up to that second horizontal line, and on the second horizontal line up to the second vertical line, I mean. So we're going to make a tab. So we're going to cut here from the side. We're going to cut inward just to that second score line on the score line. And then we're going to repeat that cut 1 score line down just to that second score line. So that's going to form a little tab like that. And then we are going to just cut away to this first score line right there. And this is a discard piece. So you have a tab that looks like this. And then we're going to repeat that same step on the second side. So on the 3 inch side, we're going to cut to the second vertical score line. If you're looking at it like that, I guess kind of depends on which orientation you have it, but you're doing it to that second score line on both sides to make a little flap, and then you're going to cut away that bottom piece right there at the 1 inch mark. So oh, I didn't quite get that. My hands are very shaky today. Had a little too much caffeine, I think. So now we are going to fold this in, and these tabs here are going to be the sides. And so I like to keep it longer so it gives a little more stability to this side. So we are going to tape this to this side and this to this side. So I'm going to put some glue, and for this I will use a little bit of double-sided tape because it doesn't have any dry time and I want to be able to move on, and you need to make sure that you can that things are all together before you. Goodness gracious, I have long nails and I'm not used to long nails. So, okay, there we go. So that's there, and then I am going to add just a little bit because, oops, if you get some extra glue, just make sure and wipe that up. And so we're folding that inward to form the side of the pouch. You really want to make sure that it's stuck down good. You might need to hold it for a few seconds. You want to make sure that this flap is as far down, like into that score groove as you can. So you want it to butt up against that score line so that you have an even spot, even side. So we are going to repeat that on the other side. I will add my double-sided adhesive, which probably would have made sense to have added that the time before, but all at the same time. I don't always think of those things. I like to fly by the seat of my pants when I'm crafting. I don't know about you. Like, what's your crafting style? Do you need to have, like, know exactly the plan for what you're doing, or do you just kind of make it up in the moment? That's kind of where the idea for this box came. So you just definitely want to make sure that that butts up against the score line right there. So you want your channel in this little channel here. We just want to keep things straight and out, and I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive here on either side, and these flaps are going to go. I'm apparently having a hard time talking and crafting at the same time. Do you ever just like pause when you're trying to explain something to someone because you're like, I'm doing it. Why didn't I have to focus here. We need straight lines. So anyways, I put a little liquid glue there, and I am just bending that up so that we're forming this little tray pocket pouch thing. And then I'm just gonna adhere those. So we have our pocket, we have our pouch. Oh, for our pouch, we need a backer. So we have that 3.75 by 2.5 inch piece of paper. We chose 2 for our front and back covers, and the other one is going to be for the back of our pocket. This is the point where if you wanted to put a thumb notch in, I would suggest taking your 2 1/4 inch by 1.75 inch piece. This is going to be the front, and I'm going to glue mine down to the front and then punch my circle. Obviously the circle punch is optional, but it makes it easy to get things in and out, and I think it just gives it a professional look. And I am doing this first so that my thumb notch is the same for both layers. So I'm going to punch those in the middle like that, and then we will glue our completed pouch to the pouch backer. And I'm going to add a little bit of double-sided adhesive here. So I'm a little extra about wanting to have things really glued down. So I don't know about you, but I really hate to think that something that, that I created, that, lots of the people that I know they enjoy my creations and they keep it, and it might be there, it might come out for like every Thanksgiving or Halloween decoration for like the rest of my life. I see some very old projects in my mother-in-law's house that I'm like, oh goodness, I get to see the progression of my stamping. So I like to make sure things stay together. So I do both types of glue. So we are going to get this lined up. If you don't want these little pieces to show, you can just clip those down. It doesn't really matter one way or the other. It's just personal preference. And I just go from the corner and just cut a little triangle off so that when you set it down, you won't see those edges. And then I'm taking the 3.75 by 2.5, and I am just going to lay this down right up against the edges. And you just kind of want to squeeze things in as best as possible, because this will keep things the right dimensions and squared off. Kind of using this as our guide to keep our box nice and lined up. So that will be our pouch. So we have a pocket and a pouch and a base. So now we're going to move on to our ribbon closure. Okay, so for our ribbon closure, we're going to need a little adhesive and this ribbon. You can just slide this little piece that I put on there to hold it together. And then it's about a 20-inch piece approximately, and I just fold that in half. We need 2 pieces, one for the front and one for the back. So I just kind of match up the 2 ends and bring it to the front and then cut in the halfway mark. It doesn't have to be exact. If you want to iron your ribbon, you can. You can also just like get it wet a little bit and it will dry straight if you just flatten it out. I don't really mind. So here we are going to find about the center of our front. So I'm just going to hold this in place with a mag bar. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I just want to make sure that this is about the same same place on both sides. So I'm going to line that up with the bottom, this little notch. You don't have to do this. It's just, I want to make sure that on both sides of my cardstock, these kind of line up. But you do not have to be precise about it at all. It's about halfway. And I just use double-sided adhesive here. I think it works a little better on ribbon, especially we're going to be covering up this ribbon that's on the paper, so it doesn't matter. Okay, if I'm going to have a thing that I'm lining up against, I need to make sure I use it. So I'm just going to stick my ribbon so it goes down there. And then I'm just going to adhere that down. Then I will move on to the other side, put some adhesive down. Take my other piece of ribbon. If you have a frayed edge, you can use that one because it's going to be hidden anyways. And then I'm just going to lay that down, easy peasy. So when we fold these up, they should match up pretty good. Well, I was off a little bit. You can also just turn it over, lay it flat, and line them up that way. There's lots of different ways to craft. So this is going to be covered over. I'm going to get these strings out of the way because I frayed that quite a bit when I pulled it up. So we've got our two ribbons for our ribbon closure. Now I am going to take my 2.5 by 3.75 inch cover, whichever thing you want for the cover, and we are going to put these mats onto our base. So we'll start with the cover. You just kind of center that up between the score line and your other sides. And you want to give it a good burnish so that glue really makes contact with the surface and stays for a long time, as we were talking about. Now we are going to do the same with our base, which is one of the 0.5 by 3.75 inch strips, and I'm just adding a little adhesive to that. And I'll do the same, lining it up kind of in the center, making sure to keep it kind of as even as I can with the panel I just added. I got a little extra glue there. And then I'm going to burnish that. Make sure kind of just wipe off any excess glue you get. And then we are going to do the same thing for the back. More adhesive. And center that, and our book is coming together. Once we have this down pretty even. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight either. Handmade things, that's the charm. You actually put time into this, and somebody is going to enjoy this. So now we're going to put together the inside. We have a little book. It's starting to look like a little book now. Isn't that great? So we have our front, our spine, and our back. So you want to make sure you have this right side up when you place it down. And then we're going to put our pocket on the left side. So I'm just taking that pocket and I will add more glue. We're to the really fun adhesive part. I always like seeing how things really come together after you've cut a lot of pieces or done the scoring and the folding. I just love it when it comes together, you know. Are you the same way? Let me know in the comments if you just really love that reveal moment of just seeing things come together. I need to find my other little 0.5 by 3.75 inch strip, and we just want to make sure that everything is going the direction we want it to. So this little pumpkin is my guide in this one on which way it goes. I'm just lining that up as best I can, eyeballing it into the center. I'm not sure if I burnished this one, but I definitely need to. And then we will do the same with our pouch. I just love these fine tips. It was just the best invention ever when glue started coming that way. Just made our crafting life so much easier. So we're just adhering that. If it wiggles, the liquid glue really helps if it's like you get a little extra drying time that you can wiggle things around and get it into the right spot if you want. And I'm not sure if I burnished those down when I made my pouch, so I'm just going to make sure they're all burnished. So there we have the bones, the very pretty bones of our mini book, and we are going to go create the little treasures that go inside. So first we'll assemble our tag. So I have this as a backer just to keep it thicker, and also you can write a little message on the back if you want. Put a little to, from, whatever, but I am going to glue this tag to the cardstock tag, if I can pick them up, and just line them up as best you can. And then always burnish when you add adhesive. It's really important. Just get any air bubbles out, and also just make good contact between the two papers and that glue. So then we are going to take the topper and we're going to glue that to the top. Pretty straightforward here on assembling this tag. But I love these little toppers. I just think they're so fun. And your tag might be a rounded tag or a traditional tag like this, an angled tag. Just for the ease of die cutting, I had two going at the same time. So either way, they're about the same size. So now I'm going to remove that backing from the hole punch, or the hole reinforcer. And you know, this step is not pivotal. I just like the look it gives. You could also do add a I just totally forgot the word for, I keep wanting to say grommet, but it's an eyelet. Yeah. An eyelet. You could add an eyelet to that. It also gives a little more stability to the hole when you have like a ribbon or a tag attached. And these are slightly larger. Oh my goodness, I got something on my tag. I'm not quite sure where my eraser is. Maybe I can get it off with this glue eraser. Yeah, there we go. So you just want to line that up. And then for our cording, I'm just going to take that cording again, and I'm going to match up those two bottom ends, if I can, like so. I'm going to straighten it out as much as I can, put these two together and thread them through the hole. So with your loop here and your two ends here, you're going to put your thumb and your forefinger through and pull it through, pull those ends through the loop. And you have a nice little tag on there. You could loop this off if you want and tie a knot, and then you could have it like more of an ornament kind of a tag, or you could leave them open. I didn't get mine very even, apparently. So I'm just going to remedy that. I gave you plenty of room for mistakes. Anyways, so you can leave it long. You could tie a bow, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pull it tight and make a loop. Go around the loop and through the loop. And once again, these fingernails. My goodness. I have never had long fingernails before, and I bought the wrong size of, these are Impress, I think, nails. So just press-ons, but apparently there's a reason I always buy the short ones. I don't know how those people do it when they wear the coffin ones, because that seems like, ooh, that's a lot. So we're going to stick that in. Oh, you know what? I didn't get mine glued all the way. Looks like it might have dried before I got that burnished. So I'm just going to set that aside for a little bit, and we will make our candy backer. Our candy wrappers. So I have that 2.5 by 3.5 inch piece, and that is where we're going to put our candy. And I have a few options for you. We're going to take these 3.5 by 1 inch pieces, and I like to kind of find the center of the bottom and put one end there, and then you just kind of crease along those angles, because there's lots of angles in these. And this is where I'm going to say that it's a little bit too long. So I am just going to go ahead and cut these down. Oh, that's not a cutter. I am going to cut these strips down to 3 1/4. So I'm sorry about that. I wanted us to make it so you guys didn't have to cut, but I didn't imagine that they had shrunk their Hershey Nuggets. So I'm just cutting all 4 of those down to 3 1/4 all at once, so that we can just move on to the nuggets. So there are our nuggets. So as I said, we're going to put adhesive on one end. And where did I put mine? The end that you want it on the side that you're not wrapping. So I'm not going to do the teddy bears. So I am going to just add a little adhesive there. Then I'm going to put that down in the center and kind of just wrap around those edges and kind of pinch it a little bit to give it that fold. It's kind of like scoring. It's like a self-score. And then really stick that down in the center. And we're going to do that for all 4 pieces. As I said, there are other ways, other candies. So I like 2 of these, 2 of these Kit Kats. These are like the double Kit Kats that come like 5 to a pack, like snack size, I guess is what they are. You can fit 2 of those there. And if you wanted to use your strips, you had this kind of candy, you could just cut this down to 2.5 inches and put it on top. I kind of wrapped these little edges because I don't like how they hang out. Or if you have the regular Hershey's miniatures, then you can just cover it. This is a 3/4 by 1.5 inch if you want to go all the way to the edge, or if you just want to cover this printing part that used to be an extra paper wrapper, it's 1 3/8. So 3/4 by 1 3/8 would get just over that. But their printing and wrapping is often kind of off. See, this is double printed. So it's nice to be able to cover over that. And sometimes I just like to cover the whole thing because you'll have one end that's like, it's not centered, the wrap isn't centered. So that's one way. And 4 of these will fit on your sheet. And I added just a little die cut there. So those are options, and I will show you This is one that I made while you're wrapping your candies. You can be thinking about this. I just untied the wrong thing, I think. Anyways, this uses the Meow-Ween paper. It's a new paper from Not Too Shabby, and I use black cardstock, and this is one of the cut aparts in the paper pad. So I used just the paper pad for this and some black cardstock, and I made a cute little tag with some ephemera, and then my backer, I actually did embossing on this just for a little extra touch, and then I glued down these are the Hershey's miniatures, so it's the to wrap it all the way like this, the measurement is 1 3/8 by 3 1/4. So if you want something that wraps just like a nugget, you wouldn't be able to use these that I have provided, but you could use a different pattern paper, and it would be 1 3/8 by 3 1/4 inch. Hopefully it's focusing on that. So that is that one. Super fun for Halloween. This is one I made with the Harvest from Echo or Cartabella, the Harvest paper. So one of you might have gotten this paper. And these use the little mini Kit Kats. And so they are 2.5 by 3.5. And I just added some cut aparts that were in that paper pad. Whoops. So if you want to do a full wrapping on your Kit Kats, it would be 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And 2 of those fit nicely in there. And I just embossed on that tag for that one. So that is the round tag that you might have gotten. I'm going to wrap these really quick. Hopefully you're done with your wrapping. I got sidetracked. All the pretty stuff. We'll wrap these really quick. So are you enjoying the retreat? Like, so many wonderful classes. These instructors are so talented and such great fun ideas. I'd love to know like what you've been enjoying about the retreat. If you want to just add that in the comments would be great. So once again, if you wanted to see, I'm doing the half and just folding in and kind of pinching those edges. And that 3 1/4 makes a great wrap there. Oops. This one got kind of unwrapped somehow. Okay. And I'm not worried about putting liquid glue here because it's like just paper to paper. It's not going to get on your candy or anything. So no worries there. There is my third one and one more to go. A liquid glue for permanence. And we are on the home stretch here. Oh my goodness, that one didn't get enough glue, I don't think. So now I am just going to use some double-sided adhesive on the backs of these. It's just paper to paper, so once again, no big deal. So I'm just going to squish that down. Your recipient will be able to still pull these off easily. So I'm just kind of centering them so they're there's a little bit, didn't quite center it, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I put one more towards the inside. You know, that one's going to bug me. It's not lined up with the other one. Sometimes these finicky little things are the hardest part. It's like when you make Hershey Kisses ones and you're trying to put them in a cello bag and they won't go in the right direction. Anyways, so now that we have our candy there, I'm just gonna actually leave that with a little magnet on it for a while, just to weight it down. And we will be able to slide that into our pouch. If you want to stamp on your tag, you can. I am going to use the Peach Perfect stamp set from Not Too Shabby. Anyways, you could put a cut apart here, ephemera, whatever. I will be doing a little stamping here. And I think I'm going to pull out my Misty, because I'm not too confident in myself. We're going to make sure we get it right the first time with this tag. So I am using a stamp positioner. You could just use a block, acrylic block, whatever. I love this little sentiment, a little treat for someone sweet. And I am just going to use VersaFine Clair ink. It is just a dye ink that it's a pigment ink, and it dries relatively fast. I mean, you don't want to stick your fingers in it or anything. You might smear your sentiment, but it also has a very nice black look to it. A lot of times you can get away with one stamping. It looks like I needed a little more pressure there in the middle. So I'm going to do the magic of Misty stamping. I remember stamping with big wood blocks and you couldn't see what you were stamping, and it was very hard to line them up because their labels didn't always match up with the stamp, and the Misty kind of revolutionized this stamp world for sure. So that is that cute little tag. I'm going to leave it out for a little bit because I don't want that ink to smear when I throw it. And then I'm just going to tuck this. Sometimes if you kind of curve up your edges here, it helps them not to catch on things. Oh, for some reason. There we go. Huh. I do not know why it's not. Beauty of live television, or live or real-time crafting. So I think that's set, but I'm just going to give it a little heat set real quick just to make sure. I really don't want to mess that up. So we've got our little tag in there. Oh my goodness. That didn't want to stay, did it? Anyways, so there is that. And now we just have a little time to decorate your front. So I have provided in the class kit the circles. This is where I'm going to use my Distress ink because this white and this cream don't really match. So this is kind of the little trick I use with this. Antique linen is a very light color, so it's a great little brown to give that vintage look and also to kind of offset the contrast between the two colors. If that bothers you, it doesn't bother everyone, but I kind of really like to make sure there's something in between those two colors when they don't match up. So I'm just going to put this gold down on the white scallop circle, just kind of centering that. And then I am going to pop up this piece because I like a little dimension, so I'm going to use those foam squares. This is optional. You don't need to do this, but I just like the little depth it gives, little extra something to the project. Stick that on there, just centered up. It's gonna go right there, and you can use just your word die if you want. It looks really pretty like that, or you can stamp. And I am going to stamp this Grateful from the fall set from Scrap Diva Designs, and I will cut it out with the coordinating, I don't think that's the right one. This one's it. Okay. The coordinating die cut, you can, there are options for the front. Here I have done some, these are some poinsettias from the, this is a small poinsettia from Scrap Diva Designs. I used a word die, and I just used that as my front cover. For this one, I used a thanks die and just like a leaf cutout. And this one is actually, I made, instead of putting this here, I actually made a card that stays on the box so that you could just flip it open, write your note, and they can have that on their box. So that's a nice little way to do that. And I just used a photo corner here to tuck in. I glued the card to the base just like I would have glued this cover, but then I put a photo corner down there that I could tuck the flap in so that it would stay together. And for a few more options, I added some ephemera in here. I also made some cute little envelopes with the envelope punch board. These are just little envelopes that would fit in here. I thought it would be fun to put like little either ephemera pieces for, or little embellishments for a crafter friend, or also you could put in little coupons or whatever for a loved one if you were giving them, you know, the gifts of your time, which is always a great gift. So those are some options while you're decorating. You can think about those things. On this one, I also tucked in, I love to make homemade ornaments. So I made a little gnome ornament and it fits right in there. And those are from Jaded Blossom. So that's a fun little Christmas gift, just ready to go. And I could tuck a gift card in as well, like that. So that is fun. So where were we? I was stamping. I need to find my little stamped piece of paper, and I am going to go for it here. We're going to just stamp in the wild. I think it'll be fine. You do want to give your ink just a little time on the stamp to transfer to the paper when you're stamping by hand, and you don't want to press too hard because that's where you can get some echoes, some kind of halo effects or squished letters. So I'm just heat setting that really quickly, and I will pull in a die cut machine. I just got this for my birthday and I just absolutely love it. It came just in time to cut all the things for this kit. So I was very grateful to have it. I have a very well used plate now. Let's see, I'm just kind of lining that up. I love coordinating dies for my sentiments. I used to kind of like not like that. I liked it, you know, more of a framed look for it. And now I have grown to where I really enjoy having dies that match my sentiments. So we're just going to run this through really quick. If I can pull it off of my thing, we have a nice little die cut. And I am just going to add that here, like so. So you could add some color with a marker if you want to that heart, or you could use some Nuvo drops or stickles or something to color in that heart and give a little something to it. But I'm just gonna leave it like that, I think, and I will put this on with a little liquid adhesive and stick it to the front. And you can embellish with any kind of ephemera that you like. I'm gonna put some of these enamel dots on, and I'll probably put 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. I like an odd number, so I kind of try to make a visual triangle, sort of. Oh my goodness, for some reason that didn't want to come off. And about here, so I have a isosceles triangle. Is that what the long skinny ones are? Anyways, and there's this. I might just add just a little bit of color to that heart. Really quick, like that. Oh, I love it. I love it. And so you can use your sticky dot to put your gift card in. I could stick that, if I want it to be completely hidden, I can stick it there. Or if I want it to be a little more noticeable, I can tuck it in behind that. So, and I did not stick that down all the way. I think the glue must have dried by the time I got that in there. So look at that. So I'm gonna use my little glue dot, little mini glue dot. I'm gonna stick that down on the center, peel up, and stick it behind here, and tuck it in, tie a ribbon, a bow, and if you want, you can leave the tails long. Oh my goodness. Note to self, do not ever wear long nails. Anyway, so you can leave the tails long like that, or if you want to cut them down, you can. You can also wet the ribbon if you like and kind of wrinkle it up and get that wrinkled look. I am trying to fold these in half so I can get some easy tails, but as everything with ribbon today, it's taking some time. That is not working. So instead, I'm just going to line them up and try to do it by hand. So you could either cut those tails down and flip them off so that they are shorter. You do want to give, enough room that a person could still retie the bow. So there's that. And here is an example of one that I just sprayed it all with water and I wadded it up and let it dry that way. And then it's wrinkled. And then you can still tie your bow. So that is the wrinkled ribbon bow. Here is our finished project. I had so much fun making this with you today. I hope that you had a blast. Please, give some hearts, give some thumbs up to all these instructors that have given their time and their talents for us to create just some wonderful holiday projects this year. Thanks to all our sponsors. Thanks to Lynn and Carrie for running the event. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the live on the bonus day. Thanks again so much for watching. I would love to connect with you on social media. You can find me on Instagram as Verve Girl, that's VERVEGIRL, or on YouTube as Julie Tillman, JULEETILMAN. I look forward to connecting with you.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. 4 fun days of laughs and flair. We've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday.
Giveaway time, friends. This one is a live drawing, so get those hashtags in the live chat. If you are watching us live, put in the live chat hashtag the paper escape for your chance to win one of these amazing prizes. All winners will be announced on the Paper Escape YouTube channel.
You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar. Chat with friends, old and new. Craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your mates. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Halloween Funfold with Spooky Flair class. My name is Meg Brighter, and I am going to teach you a fun Z-fold card today. But I wanted to know how many of you have finished Julie Tillman's class, the class before me, Grateful Gifting Book of Treats. Just let me know in the chat and get a little chit chat going between you who loved the class and why you loved it. And for my class, this one Z-fold card has lots to it. So you open it up, see this inside, and open it up again and see this side. So your card is going to have 2 full sides to it that you can decorate to your heart's content. Now I've decorated this one this way, but that doesn't mean that's how yours is going to end up looking, because you are obviously going to decorate with your own items if you don't have the kit. But if you have the kit, if you're a VIP or a grab bag holder, you get a kit with all sorts of fun things in it to use. So here is what my version of your grab bag kit looks like. And we're going to have a big grab bag, and you're going to have a small grab bag. So in your large grab bag, you fun people are going to have some pre-cut papers. Oh, let me get the bag off there. You're going to have an 8.5 by 11 blank white sheet, and that we're going to make into our card base. And then you're also going to have a tall 11-inch by 3.5-inch colored cardstock. And if you're at home and don't have the kit, these are the pieces you're going to provide for this class for yourself. You're also going to have an 8.5 by 3.5 piece of paper that we will cut in half to be eventually 2 3.5 by 3.5 pieces. And then you're going to have a 5.5 by 3.5 pattern paper that we will do some additional cutting on as well. All these pieces are going to have additional cutting on them, but we will talk about that a little bit later. So put those aside for now, and let's see what the grab bag holders, the VIPs, and the grab bag holders get in their little kit, which is all the fun goodies. So first of all, you get a little bag of embellishments, or whatever you want to call these, shaker bits, whatever. We'll put those aside. And then you have all sorts of washi taped cutouts here. And when you take these cutouts apart, you'll end up with 27 separate fun pieces to play with. So we have just a fun Gothic border. We have a spider web. We have a couple of spooky fencings. We have 3 beautiful vellum ghosties you can use, and you can see a little bit of your pattern paper behind those when we use them. We have 3 of these cool little kitty cats. Let's pull one out so you can see him too. And you can use these squares that are left behind with the kitty cat shape in it as well, so you get extras for that. We got 2 of these spider webs. Okay, we get a giant spooky tree. We also get a field of winter wheat, is what I'm calling that. We get a zigzag, which actually, when pulled apart, are 2 zigzags. We also get grass. When it's pulled apart, we have 2 grasses. So look at all of these things you get to play with. Here's my favorite, drips. Pull this apart and you get 2 sets of drippies. Oh my gosh, how fun are these? That's spooky. Okay, we've got some pumpkins, and the pumpkins are fun as well. Just like with the cats, you can use the inside and the leftover pieces to make a second piece. If I can pull this one apart. So you get the full pumpkin. And then you have the face and the eyes you can leave separately for a nice spooky effect like I did on the back of this card. Or you can put them back into the base piece like with the cat and have another pumpkin piece. If I can get my eyeball picked up. Oh, he's underneath. He's still inside the package. Oh. But you get the idea on that. You can make your own spooky pumpkin. He looks a little droopy, but that's okay. He's droopy rather than spooky. We get a cool word, boo. Where'd my boo go? I think I dropped it on the floor. But there is the boo that you get. How fancy is that? And that too, when you take out of the package, you get the reverse of the boo. I lost my boo. So all told, you'll get 27 little pieces that you can play with. So that's fun. But you at home get to pick your own ephemera. You can choose anything you have out of your stock to make things with and make this beautiful card your very, very own. So those are all sorts of fun pieces. We're going to put those aside for now. And let's talk a little bit about the um, dimensions of the papers that you need to create if you're going to create this card, for those of you who don't have the Fun Kit. So you're going to need that 8.5 by 11 white cardstock sheet that I showed you previously. So it can be any color. I just did a white base because, as you see in the card, you're really not seeing anything but a thin, thin piece of this, and then the backing, which I inked up anyway. So 8.5 by 11 pattern paper, 3.5 by 5.5 pattern paper, and that's going to be for this taller section here. We have a 8.5 by 3.5 that we cut into two 3.5 by 3.5 so that they would be for the front and the inside front of your card. And that tall piece, the 8.5 or the 3.5 by 11. Most of you are going to have rhombus. Some of you are going to have this orange, and this is going to be cut into two pieces so we can have them for the middle inside and the back piece. So those are where all those pieces are going to go. So when you're cutting your papers, you can decide what kind you want where. We also need as supplies a scoreboard. I suggest the 12 by 12 so that we can get the full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in it. You're going to need a big cutter. I have a giant cutter here, so I don't know what you're going to have. Mine's one of those long arm cutters. Your scissors, eraser, a pencil, and a ruler to complete this project. And of course, lots of imagination on your part because you have to make this your own. Make this into whatever you think you're going to want. So if everybody is ready to get started, let's get going to the next step. Okay, for the next step here, we are going to continue on to create this beautiful Z fold card. And for this card, we are going to start with our base for our card. And there's a few different steps we have to do to cut this solid piece into our card front, card base. And for that, I have this little template created so that we can visualize easier what it is we're going to be doing. So I do have this first line we're going to start with is our top cut line for the card. That's going to make this into a Z fold so that you have the three different heights of pages on here. So what we're going to start with is this cut line, and eventually we're going to be scoring these lines to make the folds, but that's going to come later. So first line we're going to begin with is this cut line. And I would like you to gather your pencil, eraser, and ruler so that we can continue on with that. So I'm going to set my template to the side for now. So pull out your 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. Mine is going to be white. The people who have the kits, they're going to be white, but you at home can choose any color that you like. So to begin marking this sheet up, we are going to place our ruler so that we have it on our leftmost edge of the paper. This is going to be horizontally placed on your board or whatever you're using to place your paper on. So we're going to make a little tick mark on this leftmost edge at the 6.5 inch mark. And I just put a little tick mark there. And over on the far right side, again, this is horizontal, so far right side from the bottom up, we are going to place a mark at the 3 3/4 mark. So I have 3 3/4, and I'm going to put another tick mark there. So to make it easy for you to see, I am going to draw a line from tick mark to tick mark. You can either do this, which, I suggest for ease of cutting, or you can score the line and cut on it. You can do, whatever your choice of cutting is for that. Don't draw heavy lines because you're most likely going to have to erase that. So the next step is to take this and cut that score line. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my cutter, and I need the 12 by 12 for this because my little Tim Holtz one doesn't quite make the grade with that. So sorry, you're not going to see the whole image here, but I think I can get it in and under my camera here. And I'm going to line up that line on my cutter, and I am going to cut right along that line. So we have 2 pieces of paper. Oh, let me move my cutting board. That'll make it easier. We have our 2 pieces of paper. Top of our paper, the bottom of our paper is bigger than the top. And we are going to lightly put a T on this one for top and put a B on this one for the bottom. I'm going to take my T-top piece and set it to the side. We will play with that one later. Now we're going to play with our B, our bottom sheet. And for that, you're going to need your scoreboard brought out. So we have the angle cut at the top, but our scoreboards are flat at the top. So we are going to turn our paper so that the flat edge is now at the top of our scoreboard. The skinny end is now on our left, and the long end is now on our right. Your first score line is going to be at the 3 5/8 mark. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and you just score that line. Your second score line is going to be at the 7 1/4 mark. So I come over to my 7 and go 1/4 inch further in and make that score line there. And then you have a third line that we're going to put at 10 7/8. So 10 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's just an 1/8 short of 11 inches. This is going to be cut off at the end, but I would really like you to wait until after that card base is folded, just in case there's any difference in the folds. We want that to be perfectly lined up when we fold. So we've scored that line, that line, and then we scored a line here that you can't see anymore because I've already cut it off in the completed card. But that's so that they all line up perfectly. So for now, we're not going to crease these fold lines. We're just going to set this aside because we have another cut that we need to make on this base to make this front panel. There's a little slice, little triangular slice we're going to take out of that front panel so that it has this shape to it. Now you can make any shapes you want out of your Z-fold cards. In this case, I wanted to make that so that we can match up those papers nicely that we provided in the kits. So on this, we're going to put it back so that our small end is on the right-hand side and our big hand is on the left-hand side. The flat piece is on the bottom. And then we are going to go to our first score line in from the right, which is our shortest score line. We're going to measure up from the bottom on our first score line over from the small edge. This small edge we put the first tick mark at 3 3/4. We're going to match that tick line on this side, 3 3/4 up this first score line. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to mark 3 3/4 and just put a tick mark there. It doesn't look like it lines up to my eyeballs, but it really does. We're going to now draw a line from tick mark to the corner edge of your page where that first tick mark was. And this is going to be our cutting line across, and we are going to draw a line up that scored line just so that you know that piece is going to be cut out of our card. Don't make these lines heavy because we want to be able to erase any marks that are left behind. There are different ways that you can cut these lines. A pair of scissors, on your cutter. It depends on what kind of cutter you have, how easy that cut is going to be to make. I like to do my first longer cut on my, well, I'm not going to because I don't have the, I'm not going to get the big one up here. But I do like doing it on the big cutter so that you get a nice straight line. But I think in this case, I'm going to cut with an X-Acto knife. You can cut with your scissors if you feel comfortable cutting with your scissors. I'm an old lady, so I kind of get wobbly with my scissors. And I find it easier to cut with my X-Acto knife. So I'm going to line up my metal ruler with my line, and I'm just going to lightly score with that and then go over it again. It's easier to get a clean line if you gently score on the same line. And I usually 3 times will do it for me. And you get that nice cut there. Now this line that's left, that little one, I don't mind if I have old lady hands that are a little wobbly there. Because I've got that score line, I think I can cut along that score line pretty nicely. You do you, what you feel is comfortable to you, and cut down that score line to that, just to that cut line. To the cut line. And we're going to take that little notch right out of our base. Everybody with me till this point? Now is when I would take my eraser, and any marks you have left on your cardstock here, go ahead and erase that. If you have a little bit of, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a tiny little hair there that I pulled away on. I'm going to try to trim that off as well, just to be neat. There we go. So now you should have a nice, clean base there. So now is the time where we can actually fold our card. So you're going to need your bone folder or whatever kind of thing you like to crease with. I have several different things that I like to use. I know everybody has something different. So for your first fold on your card, it's actually folding backwards. So we're going to do a mountain fold on this one. It's going to fold mountain shaped. So for this first one, it's folding back in a mountain shape. Make sure your base of your card is perfectly lined up and give it a nice score. Again, a mountain fold on that first score line. So when you come over to that second score line, we're going to want it to be a valley shape. We've got a mountain first. Now we want a valley. So it'll fold over on top of itself. So we're going to take our card, and I'll take this big end, and I'm going to fold it over. And again, you're going to make sure that that base of your card is lined up perfectly. Then you're going to give that a nice good crease and unfold that. Now you're going to see that Z-fold shape take shape. So when you fold that closed, you see that little score mark we made on the end should line up with the side of your card there. This is where you can check and make sure that it does line up and go ahead and cut that piece right off. And for this, I am going to use my little Tim Holtz trimmer because that's what I like to use. I keep my card folded. You don't have to do that because then I can see where the end of my card is and line that right up. And I'm going to cut right along that line. Some of you may feel safer unfolding yours and cutting it that way. But this way you get a nice even line to your card. If it's not quite even, mine's just a little off at the top. I'm going to put that back in my cutter and cut just a hair off that top corner. That's what I like about this. And you get a nice even fold. And that is our card base made. Now, at this point in time is when I decide I want to take off that little B marking. I don't need that anymore. I've got my card folded. I know which is going to be the front, which is going to be the back. So now is the time you can erase that B mark that you put on that. You can leave it on if you want to. It's going to be covered up with our mats and layers anyway, but I decided I wanted to erase that off. That's totally up to you. Now is the time we move on to our mats for mood, as I call it, so that we can get this moody Halloween card created. Okay, so we're going to start with our 3.5 by 11 piece of paper. Those of you at home can use whatever paper you like. I have a lightly patterned solid cardstock here in the kits. That's 3.5 wide by 11 inches tall. But that piece needs to go into our card on this inside panel and this end inside panel. So we need to make this nice diagonal cut across our paper. So to do that, we're going to make some specific markings. On the leftmost edge, we are going to cut at 6 and 5/16. No groans out of you guys in the comments there. I know 5/16 is a horrible number to use, but most rulers have those numbers on them. So we're going to go 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16 and make a little hash mark there. And then on our right-hand side of that panel, we are going to do the same thing, only we're going to make it 5 and 7/16 long. So I'm going to line up and I'm going to go to 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/16 long. I know everybody is groaning at the 7/16, but bear with me. We have to make it fit our card front, right? Now, if you want to, draw that line like we did when we were making the score line for our base card so that you know where you're cutting at. I like to do it, but you do you. So that's the cut we're going to make. And you can see this is our big panel on the back. Just from the cut line, you can tell that's where that's going to go. And that this one, if you turn it around, it's going to fit perfectly on this side for the cut line. Now the length is going to have to be cut down just a tad, and we'll do that after we make this score line, this cut line, so that we know we have that angle right. I gave you a little bit of leeway so that just in case this cut didn't make it perfectly, you had a little bit of fudge room so that you could fix your angle. So make that cut, and to check your angle, you get to go over to your card base that you cut. And the bigger piece goes on the far left, and the smaller piece goes right next to it on that panel. And you should be able to line up the top edges with about 1/8 of an inch at the top and see if those cuts aren't lining up for you. Mine look pretty good to me, so I'm going to call that good. But notice that the bottom is not quite right. So that's where you're going to take your pencil again, and you're going to make your tick marks on the bottom of your panel. Make sure you're lined up between your score lines. And you know what? I'm not happy with this cut on this side. See how I have a little skinny part there and a bigger part there? I'm just being fussy, but I'm going to trim that down just a hair here. So I'm going to make another tick line there and cut that piece down just a little. I thought it was good, but I'm going to make that adjustment. This is why I had this piece just a tad bit bigger than you actually needed, in case you needed to make a slight adjustment there. So I'm just going to take a hair off of that, line it back up, make sure I like it. You're making sure you have an even border on both sides. And for those of you who don't like this measurement, here's another way to do it. Stick your panel right behind your card. You want it about 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom, lined up on your borders. Well, actually, more than 1/8 of an inch. What's 2/8 of an inch? Isn't that 1/4 of an inch? 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. And then you can draw your line across there and cut that. So 2 different ways you can do this. And cut that line. So if you don't like those 5/16 measurements, like some of you do not like, this line up and trace on the back of your card will work better. And then that piece will fit in with your borders. Ta-da! So same thing can happen to this one. You line it up. If you like that angle, keep it there. If you don't, you're going to do the same thing, because again, this is just a little longer than it needs to be. So I have a little fuzzy on the edge of mine, so I'm going to cut from the bottom. I'm okay with that top being just a fraction off, or maybe I will trim just a little bit off, like I said. Just a little bit more. Line that up and just take a hair off my top corner there. And make sure that I line it up properly. And yes, I do like that better. And now I am going to make my tick marks at the bottom for where I want to cut that bottom. You can use a ruler or not. That is up to you. But I just eyeballed that marking where I want it. And again, you're going to cut that bottom off. And this should give you a perfectly lined up mark for your last page. Again, I know it seems like some extra steps, but to make sure that everybody has a nice, clean fit cut for their pages, this is how I decided to do it for you. Okay, we're not going to glue those on yet, so let's set this aside and we'll go on to our next piece of paper. So for that, you're going to pull out, if you have it, your 5.5 by 3.5 inch piece. And if you don't have it, you're going to choose a pattern paper or solid paper of your choice to cut into that size, 5.5 by 3.5. And for this, it's going to be the flip side of our center panel. And for that, again, we need to cut that angle on our card. So we have the 2 ways of cutting this as well. So for those of you who like to measure, you've got your 5.5 tall by 3.5 wide, and we are going to make a tick mark up from the bottom at 4 9/16 on the left-hand side. So 4 and 9/16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's one tick past your half-inch mark there. And you're going to put a little tick mark on the end of your piece of paper. Then on the right-hand side, it's going to be a little longer, and it's going to be at 5 and 7/16, which should be the top corner all the way down to the bottom of your piece of paper, because, well, it was 5.5, so 5 and 7/16. Let me measure again. I'm not lining up properly. Oh, yeah, that's one tick mark below the half-inch mark, so you're taking that 1/16 off of the top of that. But for me, I like the other thing that we were doing where I line it up. So you want to make sure your pattern paper is facing the same angle as it's going to be put on, but put it behind your card. Make it that 1/4 of an inch up from the base. Make sure your lines are lined up on the edges. Flip it back over without moving it. That's the trick. And then you're going to draw your line across there, and you're going to cut on that drawn line. And so that's what I'm going to do. I find that easier. I'm like a lot of you who don't like that 5/16 kind of lines. So there you go. Line it up as best you can. Make your cut. You don't need that angle piece anymore. Just to make sure, we're going to line that up. And now this is on the back side center panel. And voila! We have a nice, beautiful line. And again, we're not going to glue that down just yet, so go ahead and place that to the side. If you have to fix any of these marks to your liking, go ahead and do that, but I think I'm good the way I am. So I'm going to set that aside, place that aside, and we're going to pull out the last piece of paper, or in my case, 2 pieces of paper. If you're at home, it might be 2 3.5 by 3.5 sheets that you've cut. And if you have the kit, it might be that longer piece, which is the 8.5 by 3.5 paper. If that's the case, with the 8.5 by 3.5 inch paper, since people have different papers in their kits, you're going to pick a 3.5 inch wide piece, 2 3.5 inch wide pieces from that one 8.5 by 3.5 piece of paper. The ones that the picture inside that 3.5 inch square is what you're imaging on that piece of paper. I'm sorry I don't have that piece with me because I ran out of papers for your kits and I didn't have one for me at home. But that 8.5 inch wide piece of paper is quite a bit longer than your 2 3.5s that you have. So you have quite a bit of leeway to get those 3.5 inch wide pieces out of that 8.5 inch wide sheet of paper. This is where you start making this card yours, so that you can decide right now, I think I like this section here, and I like this section here, and make your 3.5 inch wide cuts from there. So these pieces are going to go on that front flap and on the back of that front flap. Now we're not going to glue those down just yet because there's going to be a special way we are going to glue that. And for that, we'll go on to the next step. But keep those papers handy. So let's do a little recap here of where all of these pieces are placed. So I'm going to pull out my card base, and the front of it has the little panel on the front. You're going to unfold that, you're going to choose which of these 3.5 by 3.5 piece papers you want on the front. And I think I'm going to use this pretty panel paper here. I think I like that direction. And that's where that one's going to go. Now this is considered the front of the card to me because that is your first card panel front. So the whole of this I'm calling the front of the card. So then you're going to take your two cut from that longer piece and you're going to place them. This smaller one is to the inside panel and the larger one is on this end panel. So that's the front or inside of your card as I'm calling that. Now if you unfold that and you go to the back of your card, again, you're going to have a 3.5 by 3.5 piece. I have this one here. You decide which way you like that placed. I think I'm going to go that direction with it. And then that other piece that came that we just cut is going to go into that center panel. So this is the back side of your card. You can do whatever you want to the back of this. Put your name on it, decorate it as I did on the original card because we have a lot of these pieces that can be extras. And that's going to be the fun part of it. So the original card and our new pieces are then in place. Don't glue them down just yet because there is going to be these fun borders that we are going to attach. And we have to have a place for those borders to tuck underneath our panels so that you don't see the end of the borders and you get to see our full picture on these. So we're not going to glue them just yet because on the back of this one, this has to be tucked under the panel. So that will be our next step is gluing. Okay, so up till now we've cut our papers and are ready to apply them to our card base. So that's what we're going to focus on now because there is a couple of tricks that we have to do in order to get these borders attached to the tops of our cards and have them hidden behind our bases. So there's a little bit of thought in advance to that, or in my case, I like to leave the option to tuck whatever I want in there, as an afterthought. And to do that, I'm going to start on the back of that first page. And this piece of paper is, I'm going to take off all these other papers. This piece of paper is going to go on the back side of our front page. And I want to leave a space unglued at the top of this so I can tuck whatever border I feel like putting in underneath that. Simple to do. All you do is you glue as you usually would or tape as you usually would. You can use whichever one you like, but I'm going to leave anywhere from a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch unglued at the top of my page. And then I'm just going to insert my paper, thinking of whatever border is even on the bottom because we are going to be tucking the border pieces on the top, so I'm not as worried about that. I'm going to burnish it down because I don't have to worry because I've left that space unglued that I can tuck whatever I want to under that. So that is your first piece that you are going to leave tuckable. You can do every piece that way if you like. Leave it all tuckable and then just apply more glue underneath if you're not going to use that free space. So that's what I'm going to do here as well on the front of that first panel. Whoops. So I go to the top and go, oh well. So I'm going to glue on this piece. Same way I glued that back piece on. Keeping in mind your bottom border, side borders, and then burnishing it down. You don't have to worry because you left that flap at top free to be tuckable. And see, it's just a little bit so that you can tuck something behind it. While I'm going to flip it back over, we're going to do the same thing to our angled pieces. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. Leave that 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch part at the top unglued. It doesn't really matter which order you go in to do this. I'm just grabbing whichever piece I have top here and finding its place on my card. But if you want to set it all up in order and do it that way, that's totally up to you. And for those of you at home that don't have these pieces that I've already prepared with images on them, start thinking about what these fun embellishments you want to do to them. You can stencil them, you can emboss them before you glue them down. There's lots of fun stuff you can do to this. Did I not leave a border on that one? Oh, I did. Good. After I glued it, I'm like, did I do that right? Yes, I did. So think about that too. You have a little bit more leeway because you don't have the images on already. Mine look embossed, but they're just a pattern paper that looks that way. So if you're at home and you're doing this, feel free to stencil, emboss, whatever medium you want to put on there, paste, whatever. Because what a fun addition that would be. So again, I'm going to leave that 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch at the top. Glue around. Yes, I love my glue gun. If anybody's thinking about Christmas or birthday or holiday present, that's a really good one to get because I really enjoy using it. Keeping in mind those borders are looking fairly even. They don't have to be perfect. I don't think anybody's going to worry. It's a handmade card after all. But look at all these goodies we have if you've got the kit to choose from. Oh my gosh, we have so much here to create with. It's making my imagination go bing. I hope it's exciting your imaginations as well. Which is why I wanted to give you a lot of options so that when everybody shares their cards at the end, it'll be so fun to see what people have chosen to put on their cards. I'm so excited to see you post in our Facebook group so that we can see all the magic everybody has created. Exciting, exciting. So now that we have our base mats on, and these are just bases, now you can do whatever you want with them. We do have that back panel left so that we can sign our names, so that everybody knows that these are handmade objects. And now we're going to start deciding what of these fun borders we would like to use on our card. So for those of you who've never done something like this before, my borders are just a tad long for our pages, but when you tuck them in, you can see how they're going to fit and just start basically, what do you want to call it, auditioning them in their places to see if you like where they are and how much you would have to snip off. So I like to put something on and fold it and see how it's reacting to the papers behind. And this is different from what I've used on the first one. On the first one, I used the spider webs. I wanted to do something a little different here, and these grasses I think are going to look really cool there. So that I think I'm going to go with that there. Now we have orange on the front because it looks great against this blue, but when I flip it over, it has a black pattern on the background. And let's talk about my pattern paper here. Because if you can see, my solid papers really are not totally solid. They have some depth and dimension to them. They are little bits of yellow or purple or green mixed in with my orange on here. And why did I choose that to make these cutouts? A little bit of dark black in my brown ones. Um, I just think because, number one, this is a Halloween card, you like to have a little bit of spooky flair to these things. And that brings one step closer to being finished to me. I like using papers like this because it adds interest and dimension without me having to, say, ink it up. Although I can ink them up if I want to add a little more of whatever my cardstock color is into that. Very easy to add to that before we totally glue something down. But I actually like this black pattern on the back. It's kind of upside down, but it's not bothering me at all because you're not really seeing the full pattern behind it. But you see that it's kind of spooky. There are bats showing. That's okay. What I can do is cover up some of that with another strip of something. And let's audition a couple pieces back there. But first of all, I really like this one, so I want to snip it so that it fits. And for that, I am going to take my pencil. I'm looking to make sure there's no white showing through the little grass bits here. And I'm making sure that there's a grass piece that ends close to my border here. And I am going to come straight down, I think, right to my cut cardstock. And I am going to come down just so that I have an idea where to cut that. So now that I've marked that, I am going to snip it there and follow up that piece of grass here and cut this little piece of grass off here. You know, it's not rocket science. We don't have to worry too much about it. A lot of this is going to be hidden right underneath. I'm going to take a little bit off the corners down here so that when I do tuck, you're not going to see them poking out the side of my paper. And I think you'll see that once I stick it in there, you'll see what I mean by that. Okay, so again, I'm going to line that up and see how that fits right nicely in there. Okay, I could glue that in there because I'm happy with it, but I want to play with this side too. So I'm not going to glue down until I see something that I like to go behind this piece that'll maybe hide a little more of that white border. And you know what? I think that's going to do. I like that. So I'm going to line that up with my edge of my paper, and it's going to hit the edge of my grass behind there. So we are just going to draw another line where we want to snip that off. And for that, I'm going to bring my cutter up because I want a straight edge on that one. If I can fit it under here. Well, let's try this. Sorry about hitting that camera. I have it kind of low to my desk. All right, and I'm going to put that in. Now, if I wanted to add a little more purple to this, or dark blue, because blue's on this page, I could do that. Let's actually see how well it will show up on our paper anyway. How fun is that? So to add color to this, I like to use oxides. because they go over and sit on top of the papers so that there is they're sitting on top, so they'll cover my already colored paper a little better than perhaps just ink. But that's up to you. If you don't have oxides, use what you have. So I didn't pick any oxides out in the beginning, so I'm going to look and see what I have here that might fit the bill. Maybe prize ribbon or faded jeans or uncharted mariner might work. I'm going to bring out villainous potion, I think. So I'm going to try villainous potion and maybe prize ribbon to add to this brown piece of paper. Let's see what that will do to it. Just to give you an idea of what you can do to change up these pieces that I've picked that might all be one color that you might want to say, hey, how can I change these up a little bit? Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see the difference in that, but I sure can up here this close. So I'm going to, I like those two together. They're tying in this color pretty well. Now I'm just going to go here and there because, you know, I've already got this colored piece of paper, so why waste it, right? Use it. It's already spooky. It's already cool looking. So all I did was added a little blue and purple to this brown piece of cardstock, and I'm hoping you can see the color change that it has added to that and how well it goes with the page color I have down here. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it. So we have to remember to tuck this far enough down in our paper that it's not interfering with our grass on the front. Now you can see a little bit of that poking through. Oops, that's probably because I have it moved. Okay, that's not bad. But to stop that from bothering us, guess what? More inking can be done. So let's find an orange. I know I have an orange, but it's like, where is my orange? I don't know if you guys have that problem too. All right, Meg, where's your orange? Oh, I think I see it. Ooh, spice marmalade. That would be fun. That'll go with that. Grab another inking brush, my sparse marmalade. And the back of this, I'm just going to go across the top because I really just wanted to try to blend in with my orange ball grass on the front instead of having that green poke through. Very easy to do. Don't have to go all the way down because you're not going to see all of it. There you go. Color up those patterns. Change them up to whatever you need for yours. Test them out by checking them under. Really all I was worried about was covering up the white on the back of this. So you can tuck it down lower so that you're not going to see it so much from the front. And even if you do, we've just colored it orange and you can't even tell. So I am happy with that. Now I can glue that in place. Once I'm happy, I can glue it in place. And to do that, I'm just going to gently flip back this panel enough that I can stick my glue underneath. Add extra glue. I put glue on the panel. I also put glue on both sides at the bottom of this. Just at the bottom because I don't know how much is going to stick up. Don't want to worry about it. Both sides though, so that nothing moves around on you. Stick it back in where you like it. And glue and burnish. So that's your front grass panel sitting there if you so choose to use that. And then let's do the same thing for this panel on back. And I am going to pull my glue up, gently lift. Where did I put my panel? I don't know if you guys do that, but I'm like always, where did I put that? And again, I'm just gluing the little bottom 1/4 inch or so there. Place that in, lining up my sides as best I can. Glue and burnish. Okay, so I have my first panel with the added border on top. How fun is that? Okay, now you get to decide for your next panels. I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to go off screen and finish my card, but I wanted to show you that extra piece that we had left from our card base that went here before we cut it off. This can be used to make, let's say we want to add a verse or something to our card panel. You can cut it to shape here and insert a verse on that. Wouldn't that be fun? So let's see how we do that. And all I'm going to do is measure again. So we know our panels are 3.5 inches wide, because that's what they all are, 3.5 inches wide. So I'm thinking that from the height of this, we're going to come in by 1/4 of an inch. So 3.5 inches is now going to come to a 3-inch panel. So all I'm going to do, look, it already has the angle cut. All I'm going to do is cut this 3 inches in. How easy is that? So I'm going to bring in my cutter again, line it up to the 3-inch mark. Oops, sorry about that wobble, folks. Cut it at the 3-inch mark. Ta-da! And we can have a panel to go over there. We can ink it up any way we want. We can stamp our image on there, which, why not? You're here. Let's stamp it on there because I think it's a really cute thing. If you have a stamp positioner, use that. If you don't, use any method that you like to use. I like the stamp positioner because I don't always get a full inking the first time, especially if it's a new stamp, which this is. And once you put your sentiment on there, or your whatever it is you're going to use, if you have more room around it, guess what? More opportunity for decoration. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I have my stamp positioner with just 2 pieces of tape to show where it's going to be. I've placed my stamp. I'm going to rub my stamp so that it cleans off the manufacturer stuff that's on there. I don't even know what it is actually, but so that your ink will stick better to your stamp. I'm going to ink it up. You can't see it on my screen because I'm too close here, but you can hear me inking it up. Oh yeah, I can tell this is the new one. I think I'm going to have to go twice. So the secret to doing that is make sure that you have it in your positioner properly. Close that baby up. And press. I don't know if any of you have these cool little felted bottom pieces that you can rub your stamp with. I love them. And actually, that is from one of our sponsors. That's not what we're getting in a kit or anything, but she sells them in her shop at Ledoux Design. So there's a shameless plug for her, as well as some of the other sponsors we have that are so wonderful. If you guys could thank those sponsors every chance you get, we would really appreciate it, because how nice of them to sponsor us for this wonderful thing we're doing here. So keep that in the back of your minds. Anytime you post a picture or talk to your friends about it, please be shameless. Give them a little thank you and pass on the news. All right. Oh, that turned out nice. Let's put that aside. Bring it back to our page. Oh, look at that. How fun. Now I'm going to ink some of that up, but I don't have to do it right now with you. But I did want to show you how fun and easy it is to use that extra piece of tea paper we have left over to do a panel where you want to stamp in a sentiment or something like that. You can also, add one to this side by just flipping the paper the other direction or cutting a new piece of paper or whatever. I like that it already had the same angle we had, so no brainer there. Just use it. And let me show you another way to use that panel. Let me bring back my little cheaty sheet I drew up for you earlier. Now that's for doing the card panel, but on the back of this, I also wrote, this is that extra panel that we were just using. It used to fit here, but now it's a little shorter, but this is that extra piece that went here. And if you want to make, say, a pocket, like I did on my first sample here, I don't even know if you know it's a pocket, but you can put a pocket. You can put 2 pockets. You can do whatever you want with this. It's so fun, so versatile. I tell you, your imagination is the limit. Whatever you can think of, you can do. But so what I did for that pocket was I took that piece, that full piece of paper, I marked in 3 3/8 of an inch. I think that's what it was. Let me measure for sure. Wherever I put my ruler. In my lap. That's the first place you gotta look, Mag. In your lap. 3 1/4 actually is what this is. 3 3/8 is fine. It's just a little skinnier, and maybe that's why I did it to match the borders a little better. So I did do 3 3/8 coming in, cut. 3 3/8 coming in, cut. And then you have those 2 panels. I can cut this one and show you if that's something you want to see, or just take my word for it. What do you think? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Now for my remainder piece here, I still could do it. I could have a panel going this way. Look, that's almost perfect. And then the remainder, I'd have a panel going this way. Look at that. I still have room to do a pocket with this. So, yay, yay. Let's just cut that because now I'm curious. What do we say? 3 3/8. I'm going to go 3.5 just to see. 3.5. Too big. So that's why 3 3/8. 1, 2, 3. I don't have that marked on my thing. That's why I was trying to go for a half. But you know, 'tis what it is. Or even shorter. Whatever you want. So that angle is going to match that angle. And this angle is going to be flipped around the other direction to make a front pocket. Just so that we have another kind of a Z-fold. Oh, actually, to make it a Z-fold, we'd go this direction. And then we'd go this direction. And to do this, you know, if you want to add flaps to the side of your panels, do that. Just add a 1/4 inch to each side, fold them under at whatever size you want, glue them down. Same with the bottom, 1/4 inch folded under. But me, I like it simpler, and I'm just going to cut it to size, and I'm just going to do a glue around the edge and stick it. Because this is not something you're going to put like a candy bar in, although you could. This is something you're just going to tuck maybe an extra note or you know, a fun little character or something in there. Let's see how easy that is to do. Again, you would decorate it like I did on this one. Just extra pieces of paper. This is actually the opposite side of our spider web. And I just added that there. I inked up the edges a little to make them stand out a little more. How fun is that? So now that I've shown you how to do the borders, how to do sentiment, how to maybe do a pocket if you wanted to, all that kind of stuff. What else is there to do? Oh, I did show you how I made that face on the back of here. How easy is that to do? Here's a quick and easy trick. Take a full pumpkin, take your leftover pieces. I'm going to tape that little pumpkin wherever I think I want it, just on the side there. And then I'm going to glue the back of my pieces and piece them right inside that pumpkin face. How simple and easy is that as well? For those of you who didn't know how to do this, fun. Use your tweezers, use your sticky tool, whatever you want, and just insert that in. We call this piecing. And then do the same with the eyeballs. I guess they're not balls. The eye triangles. Add a little glue. Stick them in the holes. And because we didn't add any glue to the base of the pumpkin before we're sticking these in, it's not going to glue the base down at all, and you can just remove it. You don't have to be this precise with them. You can just glue them on down, but this is a way to show you another way to use these pieces. Get more bang for your buck. And the pieces that you aren't using on your card, use them for another card. How fun is that? Then you can just remove this tape that you had holding your face down, lift up, and you have all those pieces fun and stuck on your card. You can still use your pumpkin. And I gave you plenty of pumpkins to use, plenty of cats to use. Wouldn't it be cool to take the remains of the cat on one of these pages and make a little border of them. Because I think I gave you 2 of one color and 1 of another color. If not, you can always use your ink and ink it up and change it. I have these taped down. Me and tape. You're going to love and hate me at the end of this, for those of you who have the kits. But how fun would it be to set these up in a cool way and use the backs of them? Or maybe use 2 backs and a front, or have our cat maybe silhouetted next to our pumpkin. Oh my gosh, anything. We could do anything with these. Cattywampus them or not. What I'm just trying to tell you is your imagination is the limit here. Just use your imagination, play with the pieces, see what you can create. Another thing that I would like to show you is vellum. How do we use our vellum to great advantage? How do we glue it down? Now on my first card, how fun are these ghosties? You see I used all those ghosts. 1, 2, 3 ghosts you're provided if you have the kit, or if you're at home, you can cut as many ghosts out of vellum as you want. And these ghosts are really easy to attach if you tuck them underneath, like say an existing image on there. And what you do is just glue them to the back of that image. Same with the pumpkin. I glued them behind the pumpkin and attached them. I glued them behind the boo and then attached the boo. So that's a really simple, easy, cool way to attach your vellum ghosts. So say I want the kitty cat with the ghost behind them, because isn't that kind of cute and iconic? So why not try it? So let's take the cat. I'm going to glue the upper portion of my cat on the back of the cat. And I'm only doing the upper portion because I did have his feet hanging off the end. And then I'm going to pick a ghost. And I'm going to glue the cat to the front. I picked the large ghost for this so that the cat can sit in front of him and they can be best buddies. Try not to get glue on your vellum like I just did, but you can always use, let it dry a little and just use one of these gummy erasers to erase that off. But don't rely on that, folks, because you don't want to tear your vellum at all. So once you have your little cat and ghost image, you could then glue it to any of your existing images that you have. I'm not going to put it over this, but you can see how you can still read that sentiment right through the ghost, but you can see him enough that isn't that cool. If I had left a little more space, I might have glued him on this piece, but isn't that a cool effect? You can put them wherever you want. Your little duo here. And to glue it down onto your page, all you're going to do is glue right behind this cat again, stick him down, and then your ghosts are kind of three-dimensional, lifting up off the page, but they're still stuck firmly in place. So that's another tip I have for you for doing this. Oh, won't they look cute on this page? I think that we might put our little ghosties on this page, at least one of them. How cute is that? See, just play with your pieces, see what you can create, and have fun. So remember, folks, that if you want to see all of the, not all of them, but a lot of the papers that I have used here, you can go to the Shop With Us page that we have listed, and it gives the itemization of things that you can find in the shops that I have used. Let's see. So give me a few minutes. I will finish up my card, come back, and show you what I created. I did finish my card for you. So here it is. Front page, inside, more and more and more. So what are you thinking about that? How fun was this to create? Those of you at home, I'll be excited to see what you did with your creativity and your stash. And I think that does it for me for today. If you are a free ticket holder, I hope that you've enjoyed all the class contents that you've visited this weekend. And if you're a ticket holder of any price level, a paid ticket holder, then hopefully we will see you tomorrow on our final day. Classes by Lynn and Carrie, a fun wrap-up, a special make with our extras in our kits. Just have fun. Remember to use your imagination with your cards. And if you don't have a ticket for tomorrow and you would like a ticket for tomorrow, they are still available. So those $20 tickets to join us, you won't get a kit, but you can join us and have fun and enter some of the raffles and have fun with the rest of the crew for another day. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday crafting straight from the heart.
That's a wrap for today, friends. Let's give another big thank you to our incredibly talented instructors and amazingly generous sponsors. Thank you so much for catching us either live or on the replay. Don't forget to share your makes with us in the Paper Escape Facebook group, and you can catch the replay at any time on the Paper Escape YouTube channel. And don't forget to tune in live to see if you won a prize from this amazing 4-day crafty retreat. Let's do this again next year, friends. Hope to see you at the next Paper Escape.
Along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your makes. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your makes. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. Where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape.